Oh, Bobby Jew, Bobby Jew, Bobby Jew. Yeah. Oh, where we at, geese? Where we at? How cool is that? Another little song I wrote, like my Tommy Robinson one. It is currently not up on YouTube, but you know, might have to put it up there now. Hey! Right, let's see what's going on in the world. So yeah. Yeah, I saw you mentioning Tottenham, absolutely dire, isn't it? Hey, Binky in the house, Electric Doc in the house, Pat's in the house, Pizza's playing with his yo-yo. Yeah, I had to leg it. I was like, whoa, I didn't realise the time. I was like, I had like 2 minutes, and I thought, uh-oh. I was like, 2 minutes. But yeah, so, you know, I thought I'd write a really cool song. It's all happy days. How you doing, cherries? Living the dream. Yeah, I know. Terrible. Embarrassing. They could beat Atletico Madrid 3-2. Admittedly, we lost on average, and now we're out. But, you know. Did you like it? Yeah. That's some AI thing. You got to be careful, I think, on so much you do that. It says it all like royalty-free and whatever. But other things, it sort of comes up and says you got to have like commercial license sign. I mean, not doing anything with it. Need to get banned on it. Get banned to do it for me, innit? So yeah, it's quite cool. Yeah, it's quite cool, that one. I was quite impressed with it. I've done the Tommy Robinson one as well, didn't it? So it's all good. Where's his Advances song? Gone down a toilet like they are, I think. I'll tell you, Submission Airways is Dancing on membership and join what's ultimately our last hope. Could be spending £20. Yes, could be spending £20. How you doing, Defiant Fox? So everyone who's late, they've missed a tune, man. You've missed the tune of the century. It's all good. I've had me roast dinner. I've had me Sunday roast. Oh, is it? Yeah. No, I don't do that. I write my lyrics. Put them into an AI thing. Choose how I want the song to be, whether it's pop, rock, rap, reggae, whatever you want. You missed the tune, mate. Yeah, you missed it. It's well cool. Let's see. I'll tell you what. If you want to listen to it again, put yes in the chat. It's only 2 minutes. Just put a yes. Yeah, I got your email. Started to watch the video, mate. I did start watching the video, Robin. Yeah. So, but yeah. So give us a yes. And I'll put like 2 minutes in it. It's 2 minutes. What's 2 minutes, guys? Come on. Gives time for people to come and see and jump in. But well, there's 2 yeses. That's enough, isn't it? Right. Let's do this. Are you ready, folks? How about that then? One of my cool creations. I do like to write a good tune. I won't tell you how many songs I've written. Probably more days than I've been alive. And I've written songs. Right, let's get the chat up. Right, happy days. What's going on? I need to open up the old window, don't I? There's a few things worth talking about today. You know what I mean? It's calling, but if anyone wants to call in and say anything, they can. As long as it's about what we're talking about. There's a couple of news stories I thought were worth mentioning. You know how it is. You know how it is. But what should we start with? What shall we start with? What about UKIP and the Walk for Jesus? Should we start with that one? Because that's a nutty one. That's nuts. Oh, take them off now. Oh, happy days. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I'll put it up on X later. I had it all. I can't remember why we even. Oh yeah, I had it on this. It's on this one, isn't it? It's on here. I've got to download it and I can load it up to X or something. Do you know? It's gone mental. Do you know I had 22, 23 followers on X? I put up a restore post. I've got nearly 300. Like, it went mental. The Restore Britain crew were there. You would not believe how crazy that is. Like, I was posting stuff for advance until the cows come home. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Don't hear from no one. Nothing. One post, which was like the video that I done about Rupert Lowe being an official party and it's the future, and it went mental. So like the mentality of these people, they're just like, yeah, we'll follow. I was like, I can't literally follow them back enough because X stops me. It thinks I'm spamming my follows or something. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So yeah, it's all good. But football, yeah, got the Carabao Cup final today. Man City and Arsenal. Oh, I did see that. So yeah. So it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah, it was in Liverpool. It's in Liverpool. But so six individuals were arrested on Saturday. But it was something in it that bugged me. It says like Walk for Jesus protest orchestrated by far right political party UKIP. The march was set to commence from outside Liverpool Metropolitan Cathedral. And UKIP urged its supporters to stand for Christ in Liverpool during Lent by participating in a procession through the city centre. See, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all, is it? But let me bring it up on screen for you so you can see it. It would be handy, wouldn't it? But here, right, it bugs me, like really bugs me. Just prior to the march, the leader of Liverpool Council, Councillor Liam Robson, denounced the planned event and expressed regret that the authority couldn't halt it. You what? You want to halt a march for Jesus, but you let Muslims in a church so they can do whatever they do for Ramadan. Bearing in mind, you walk into a mosque and ask to do anything Christian, they will boot you out quicker than quick. They're allowed to go to Trafalgar Square, do their little show of dominance and force themselves on the people of this Christian country. But this idiot, Councillor Liam Robertson, expressed regret that the authority couldn't halt it. It's a march for Jesus in a Christian country. This Liam Robinson is an absolute pillock. Is a fish, he'd be a halibut. But. What on earth? I read that and it really wound me up. Yeah, we do, Robin. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? So it really wound me up. I'm sure, I don't know if Jake or Ace or anyone's going to be along today, but this is what I want to talk about because it really winds me up. Councillor Liam Robinson, leader of Liverpool Council, like Councillor Liam Robinson. Councillor for who? Councillor for who? Can you see it? Like, I'll zoom in a bit. Look, Councillor there, right there. Councillor Liam Robinson, absolute prat, expressed regret that the authority couldn't halt it. Who on earth do you think he is to stop a march for Jesus in a Christian country? Are you for real? Yeah, can you tell? It wound me up a treat. Yeah. Not allowed to say anything because you're Islamophobic. Don't show signs of Islamophobia. The police. That's the bill, if you remember it. But this is ridiculous. Senior church leaders in the city also voiced their opposition to the march. Did you hear that right? Senior church leaders. What, they don't want... March for Jesus, mate. March for Jesus. Oh, Jake's in the house. I just mentioned you geese. But I don't know if you want to come up, Jake, or anything. I can put the link in the chat for you. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. UKIP should join Restore as a protectors of the faith. Well, no one else is. Even, I can't believe it. Senior church leaders. Let me highlight that bit so you can see it on the screen. Look, in blue. There. Senior church leaders voiced their opposition to the march. They say that the march had been organised independently of the recognised Christian community in Merseyside and resist any suggestion that it speaks on our behalf. How flippant pathetic. You could have got hold of UKIP being a church leader and said, I see you're doing a march for Jesus. May I join you? May we stand in solidarity in the name of Jesus Christ and the Christian country? Could we? Could we? No, because you're not Muslim. You ain't doing it. We're going to stand against it. I mean, it's absolutely stupid. And this is the worst bit, right? You never guess who actually stood up against UKIP. Stand up to racism. What on earth is a march for Jesus got to do with stand up to racism? I mean, blimey. If you ever want to see the Wiz's head pop, it's going to be about now. It's exactly what it is, mate. Exactly what it is. Absolutely ridiculously insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain. It is. I'm fuming. Can you tell? Scots, Lassie. I don't know why I said it like that. My apologies. I was pretending I was Scottish. If I was Scottish, I'd be an egg. I would. They'd be like, look, there's a Scottish egg. Everyone should go to the UTK event on 16th of May and let them see the numbers Tommy can get. Yeah. And they just lie about it. Do you know what I mean? So they'd be, there'd be like 1 million people there, and they'd be going, "Oh, 10,000 people turned up, mate." Do you know what I mean? I've got to be careful with my brew because I had to, ran downstairs, didn't I? I was late, I had to make it. It'd be so hot, I pour it in my mouth and I'd just burn my tongue off. But it's crazy. A post shared on UKIP social media page on the 23rd of Feb indicate the meeting point will be at the steps of Liverpool Metropolitan Cathedral. All these big words, Wiz. But this is, look, by 10 a.m. this morning, a counter protest organised by Merseyside Stand Up to Racism was in progress. What on earth? What on earth? Stand up to racism. Why are they anything to do with Jesus? Why? What on earth is going on in this country? Well, let's discuss these week in the stress test. You've got a stress test, haven't you? Even Billy Moore's getting attacked. Yeah, Pew did, yeah. Police told young Bob Child to go back in the crowd that attacked him. Yeah, he said, I'll go there and get beaten up, or I can go in there and get beaten up. Yeah, you can do that, or you can get arrested. Arrested for what? Arrested for what? I think they will try to arrest Tommy when he comes home on May the 16th unless the United States give him a black passport. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Anything to stop it, wouldn't it? Anything to stop it. Anything to stop it. Yeah, I'll put the link up, but obviously no one clicked the link other than is it Jake saying join the chat and Electrodoc. Those two for now. No offense to anyone else. I just want to keep it in control. But and I'm stressed. I'm a bit stressed on this one, so I probably need some people to chill me out like you do. So yeah, we showed a short bit of it yesterday, just where he was getting attacked and the police being useless as usual. Look, Fred was attacked from behind. Funny enough, if I was ever attacked while I was doing security work on the door or anything, it was always from behind. Always from behind. You could not make it up. That's how hard these people are. Like, do it from behind, mate. Yeah. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The whiz got taken from behind. Yes, very good. Very funny. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, 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 ha. But yeah, the fact that he's like 17, absolute pain in the ass. Absolute pain in the ass. But this is bugging the living crap out of me. So the fact that it's Jesus, stand up to racism. I mean, are they nuts? Are they absolutely nuts?
Nuts. Swap the speaker over. That's better.
Oh, press the wrong button then. There he is, hiding. How you doing, Binky? You good?
Hey, good afternoon. Sorry about that. I'm just tinkering.
Binky, all right.
Worries.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Ish.
Yeah, don't mind me if I'm a bit more quiet today. I've had my afternoon medication and I'm tinkering with a modification to my coffee machine.
What's that? 20 coffees? You making it so it makes them extra strong?
No, basically I'm making it so I don't have to fill it up every three cups of coffee.
All right, I've got you. Yeah.
I've actually just done a little short video that I'll put up on YouTube about it.
Does it involve a washing machine solenoid at all?
No.
Right. Okay.
I'll tell you what. I'll let me just give me a sec here.
But yeah, Jake, I agree, mate. Young Bob, as it was said in yesterday's stream, I'm like, well, he's 17, he's there, he's good, he had his security and that. But yeah, at the end of the day, he is 17. He's 17, and yeah, some of the situations he puts himself in, he's unwittingly putting himself into certain positions of danger. I agree. If that was my son at 17, as much as you like to think they can look after themselves, not in a situation like that. I mean, there's two whopping great crowds, left or right, go in there for a punch up or get arrested by the police. I mean, at 17. So yes, I think your concern is well placed. I'm hoping maybe after that, possibly someone could have a chat with him and say, look, it's all right going out here and, you want your views for YouTube and whatnot, earn your money. I get that. He's obviously a very dedicated, hardworking young man. That's all good. But is it worth your life or ended up in hospital because you got like broken eye socket or broken nose or broken cheekbone because some idiot thinks it's good to punch a 17-year-old? Is it worth it? Probably not. So maybe someone could say limit it.
Yeah. Maybe you should go to less aggravating protests. Or mind you saying that it were the left that kicked off with them, wasn't it? It were a march for Jesus, a peaceful day out. You're not going to expect to come across that kind of violence, especially when it's
a Christian country.
Celebrating the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings.
Yeah.
the man of peace, and people turn up and start getting all violent.
Yeah. Binky, I'll present your tap to hose pipe invention that you've done. How long is it, mate? I can see it's in a short.
Oh, the hose pipe, yeah, it's sat right next to my sink. So if you imagine a normal size sink top with a draining board, it's probably maybe 1.5 meters.
How long's the video, I mean?
Oh, the video, it's about a minute.
That's like when customers used to come into our place, right? And they used to say, "Can I have a tape recorder mains lead?" Like, you know, and then my gaffer used to say, "How long do you want it?" And I said she wants to keep it. So how long's the video?
Yeah, sorry, but yeah. Hiya, Jake. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Not too bad.
You must have a taste for chatting, Binky.
You are?
You must have got a taste for chatting. Because yesterday you was telling us how it had been a long time since you'd had a chat, so you must have got a feel for it now.
There you go.
Well, now that I've broken the ice with people, I kind of figured I might as well keep up appearances, aren't I? But
Yeah.
just have to bear with me, because like I was just saying, I'm tinkering with modifying my coffee maker in kitchen.
Right.
So, well, if our grand wizard wants to play it, it's only a minute, but.
It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. I've just done my own homework because you didn't answer me. But yeah, it's 2 minutes long. Right.
Oh, I thought I did say it's about a minute and a half after I got it wrong.
All right. I thought you said it's about.
I might not have done. I apologise.
I thought you said it's about 1 metre in length piece of hose
Yeah,
pipe.
no, I said that initially, and then when you asked me, when you said, the video, I think I said, oh yeah, no, it's about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Or a minute.
Yeah. Well, either way, I've got it queued up anyway. So if you want me to present it any time, I can do Wiz, because my internet connection's better than what Wiz is, so it'll probably play it all right.
Yeah. What is it? What's the video?
It's just, I knew somebody had asked me what I was tinkering with, so I thought, you know what? Instead of chatting over everybody and being an idiot like I sometimes do when I'm talking, I overspeak and don't know my social cues. I thought, you know what? I'll do a quick video and then people can watch it and they can see it as well. So
random copy making. What was I going to say? Robin, Dr. Jake, my debate. I got hammered. Yeah, I watched the first maybe 5-10 minutes. I have to be honest, mate. Some of the stuff that you were saying, I was like hitting my head against a brick wall. I was like, did he just say that? Did he just say that? Like we are all entitled to compensation because we did not ask to be on this planet. I mean,
yeah, that's not happening.
I heard it. I don't know. Even in it, Robin, you said like, "Oh yeah, people think it's nuts," which means obviously they never thought about it or whatever. But I don't know what this thing is about every single person on the planet. I don't know how far back they want to go. Now it's back to our birth as well as back to all the slaves and all that. Why does everyone want to be a victim? Like, just because we didn't ask to be on this planet, how do you know? Like, before we even came on this planet, how do you not know? We sat down, we had a chat with God, we signed a contract. He said, look, you're going to go to Earth. It's not going to be easy. You've got to learn.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be quite an experience for you. Would you like to go on Earth and spend, I don't know, 20, 60, whatever years? This is what you're going to do. Okay, yes, sign the contract. Yep, your soul gets put into the baby that's just been made in, birds and the bees kind of way. You get born. Obviously, you don't remember none of it because if you did, it'd be quite freaky. And then that's it. You've now got a life. You've got the gift of life. And you're telling me that we've now got to demand that we get compensation because we didn't ask to be born.
God, imagine what that'd be like.
I think this is why the filter works quite well. For the party we used to stand for, Advance UK. It's stuff like that would have been filtered out in the members kind of thing. That's not. Go back to the drawing board with that one and then try again, and then we can bring it up with the college kind of thing.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Jake? About what I just said? Do you think we should all be compensated because we didn't ask to get born, mate? I didn't ask to blooming make this copy. I just done it. Shall I sue myself?
Should we get compensation for it? No, of course not. How are you ever going to work that, and who's going to pay for it?
Elon Musk.
I don't know.
Elon Musk, the guy who's been overly compensated for being a genius.
I understand the principle, though. The principle, yes, I would agree with.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm being a bit pedantic, but I get what you're getting at. But to me, it's like you got the gift of life. I mean, you know, you get given presents at Christmas. You don't go, oh, well, I didn't actually ask for that. Can I have some compensation?
Yeah,
that'd just be rude.
Some kids do, you know. Oh, you got me a pink Ferrari. I wanted a white one.
Yeah, hard life, isn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, the trauma. Yeah.
Well, I think Defiant made a good point in the chat. And he's put the age of weakness started in the 80s when the schools decided that everyone's a winner and there are no losers. Yeah. I think that's really, really important. And when I taught, one of I used to press for in meetings constantly was, I said that you need to give the kids the freedom to fail, because if you don't, they're not experiencing what life is going to teach them afterwards. And people would really argue against it, and I'd say no, it's you have to learn.
See it all the time.
Essential part of life.
What I'd say is, how can anyone ever succeed in life if you can't fail?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's 10 people in the race. You come 10th. Well done, you're a winner. No, I'm not. I failed. I need to train harder, mate.
You see what happens when they can't get their own way in these protests? They start like belting people or hitting people or start crying, you know, depending on the temperament. That's what they start doing, you know. And also, right. So the left, all right. How you raised this question yesterday, Jake? How do we, well, not really control, but how do we, control the left, right? So if you notice, they've all got exactly the same signs held up, right? What you need to do is cut off the supply of those signs, because that's obviously where all the left's protesting is coming from. You know what I mean? I believe it's something.
What I would say is that yes, those signs, they are identical, and it's not just here that they're identical.
Yeah,
all over. Every single protest, it's all over the globe. They have the same font, so it's obviously a centralized planning. Somebody that's really good at looking at this is Charlotte Gill, who has a Substack and a YouTube channel, and she's absolutely brilliant because she looks at all the NGOs and all of their funding and all the charities, and she's very, very good at explaining things like Hope Not Hate and where their money comes from. And I would say that that a lot of the people who are there are dippy students and retired do-gooders who probably taught geography and things like that, you know, that sort of wanker. But a huge amount of them are paid protesters who are coming there through unions. And they get bussed in, they're paid by the hour, and you'll notice on these protests, that's why they finish promptly on the hour as well, because they're not getting paid to be there beyond that. So I would say that these protests they're not organic in any way whatsoever. They are actually a sort of soft form of government enforcement on the streets of really, they're saying it's a government force saying this is what you should be believing in. That's what I think.
Yeah, so, you know, as long as we've got a government in that's willing to look into where all the paper trails go into with that, and then cutting that off at the source, because it's not cricket, is it? It's not cricket.
No, and it's not far off.
Just say, sorry, Cayman in the chat, did you have a different account, like something to do with a golden dragon or something? For some reason, your name rings a bell or something, but I know you put something up about central heating. Probably why you give us the cold shoulder. You said no central heating. But
very good.
Yeah, I know. My talent is just off the scales, mate. But no, for some reason I got a feeling that's a different account, but he had another account with a YouTube thing. If it's the person I'm thinking of, he's supposed to have come round at some point to collect a painting, which he never, and it's still up there now. And if it's not him, I'll just look an idiot. But,
that would.
But explain. No, because.
Yeah,
I said to him, like, if you want the painting, just come and get it. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, we used to talk a lot, but anyway. But this stand up to racism against Walking for Jesus. Oh, mate, I'll tell you, I'm fuming.
Is it that perhaps, I mean, I don't know this, but is it the case that perhaps they wanted to cancel that protest because of the fact that it was to do with safety, because there are already 2 other protests going on at the same time? I mean, I don't know, but that would perhaps explain why. And it looks like it's Jesus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but in this report, there's two things. It says Councillor Liam Robinson denounced the planned event and expressed regret that the authority couldn't halt it. And then senior church leaders in the city also voiced their opposition to the march.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
Well, Billy Moore were actually trying to interview a couple of vicars over on the left, like, and one of them wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't even tell him which church you were from. Then the other one said, well, he were basically just a lefty. These two vicars, you know what I mean? Yeah.
What I'm getting the impression of from reading this, it sounds like they're saying, no, those people that are marching for Christianity aren't marching for the same Christianity that we represent. Which in this case, it sounds like the people saying that are from the left, and there were quite a few leftist vicars that I saw at that protest in Liverpool. Not that I was there, obviously. I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah, vloggers. Yeah, they're the eyes and the feet for the people who can't be the eyes and the feet there. You know what I mean?
One of the things that I know about these protests is my brother-in-law is an inspector for Norfolk Police, and I've asked him about policing of protests, and he has said categorically that there is no direction whatsoever from above about what they should police. They are supposed to police exactly the same on both sides. And I asked him about the fact that often, if you watch these videos, you see things like people being assaulted or saying things that they shouldn't be saying, and the police are not doing anything about it. And he said that the reason for that is because they haven't got enough resources to man the event. So what they do instead is they review it on CCTV later, and then they make arrest later on. And because the public don't see it, looks like there's inaction from the police when actually they have done something. And now I'm not standing up for the police. I'm just saying that's what their argument would be.
Yeah, fair argument, but yeah, I suppose it's not really up to them what the police what they show. It's up to, I suppose, wherever the organizer has stood. I suppose the vlogger is stood. I suppose, and because we watch the right hand side of the vloggers, I suppose we only see the right hand side of the arrest kind of thing. I can see that. Yeah,
I would suggest that people who pick up on what Richard's just said, then if you don't ever have a look at left channels and see what they've got to say, then all you're doing is you're living in an echo chamber and you're only hearing the same thing. You should go and look at what they're saying, not because you'll like it will make you really, really angry, but what you need to do is understand their points, because then you can dismantle their points to their face time and time again, and there's nothing to be able to argue against if you're really well prepared.
You say I get more intelligent because I've got my glasses on.
Yes, exactly.
Look how intelligent I look now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I wouldn't agree with that Robin there, Jimmy the Giant. He's an absolute prick. He got made to look at complete Constantine. I would say if you want to have a look at some of the left wing, just to get an idea what they're saying, the best place to go really is Novara Media, because they're probably the most intelligent ones, and they're obviously foolish in their beliefs, but they are the equivalent of Talk TV or GB News, really, for the left. So that's where I'd go. Yeah.
So I used to watch Jonathan Pye as well until I started noticing they were a lefty. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. Now I just watch it just as like, I don't even laugh at it anymore. You know, I just watch it as news, if you like, from with the comedy element, if you like.
People are missing a trick here. They really are. Because if you look at what left and right actually believe in, there's one area where there is massive agreement that neither side ever actually sit down and discuss, which actually could cause, I think, much more of a unity. And that is, I know it's boring, but that is economics. Because both sides agree that billionaires hoarding all of the money is wrong and it should be redistributed downwards. The only difference is the way that they view about how you would sort that money out. That's the difference between the two, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you fixed it, Binky? Or is muted?
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute there for a bit because I was using me file to file.
I could see that we could see that you're rubbing something down there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was like kind of hidden by your title, so it's simply polishing something to do with this thing and not polishing his helmet.
Sorry, I did think about that. That's why I tried keeping it somewhere here so you can see exactly what I was doing.
Well, it was slightly lower. It was slightly lower for a while when you first started. I thought, we're going to throw him off.
But no,
right, you fixed it right. Yes.
So basically, that pipe that's in that video coming from kitchen tap can just plug straight into there.
Right.
And then I don't have to keep moving the coffee machine to get to the tank to fill it up every time I want to make a cup of coffee now.
I've got you.
I can just turn the other tap on the kitchen tap to this hose pipe, and then job's done.
See, with my electronic skills as well, right? I'd actually be able to make that fully automatic. Is it from a Tassimo at all?
No, it's just some random generic percolator that I got off Facebook.
Oh, right, I see. Has it not got a low water sensor?
No, unfortunately, I had that. This is why I wanted to do this, because I've been running it a few times when I forgot to fill it, and then you hear it almost chewing itself to bits inside, and you're like, oh shit, switch it off, and then fill it up with water before it burns itself out. Yeah.
Because if it had a low water sensor, you could use that sensor to say, right, I'm running low on water, and then have it fill back up again until it reaches a top sensor that you could put into a magnet. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Well, going back to
I'm not posh enough to be able to afford out like that at the minute.
No, it'd be dead cheap, but yeah.
Oh no, wait a minute! You can get a sensor that sticks to the end of the pipe inside.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I'm an electronics engineer, mate. So everything's quite cheap to me.
I'm sure you'd be able to buy a solenoid like your petrol tank.
A washing machine solenoid, unless you wanted to.
This is about the subject, isn't it, lads?
We're
going back
about the end of the world and going a nice comfortable.
Everyone's falling asleep. Everyone in chat's going.
I've got some information here that people won't like, but I mentioned it yesterday. I didn't have the exact facts with me, but I thought it's really worth mentioning so that people can put things into perspective about Restore and what their chances realistically are in an election. So I looked to see what new parties have managed to achieve over history and how that is relevant, and you will see that what you think is going to happen is very unlikely. So the first new party that managed to get a decent sort of showing in a general election was the Labour Party, and they started in 1900. They went into their first election in 1906. They got 29 seats, which was 5% of the vote, which wasn't much at all, but that was significant because they then became the left-wing force in the country. And by 1924, it had formed a government in the country. And then in 1945, it managed to win a landslide. So that's an example of showing how a new party can get into that position, but it's going to take about 30 or 40 years to get there. So there's one example. Here's another one. UKIP. In 2015, they got 12.6% of the vote, which is almost 4 million votes. That got one seat in Parliament because we don't have proportional representation. So it's first past the post. So if they could have come second in every single seat in the country, and they still wouldn't have got any seats.
Do you think Reform would bring proportional representation in if they got in?
Possibly. It depends. If it's to their advantage, yes. If it's not, then no. But this is the most significant one, though. This was the SDP alliance in 1983. So this was a party that kind of split away from Labour. They managed to get 25% of the votes and 23 seats, and that is the highest ever vote share for a new political force in modern history. So the highest we've ever seen is they've managed to get a quarter of the votes, but that's still only got 23 seats, and you need to get 326 to get victory. And then the final example is Reform, or the Brexit Party, who managed to get 14% of the votes in the last election, and that got 5 seats in the general election. So the number of people who are supporting Restore is fantastic, but that does not translate into seats in Parliament, The only way you get a seat in Parliament is by winning your local election. It doesn't matter how many votes you get overall. You have to. They've got to win 326, and the highest we've ever seen, the highest percentage of the votes we've ever seen is 25%. And that only got them. Let me see, was it 23 seats? Yeah, 23 seats for the SDP. So the task ahead is fucking huge.
Yeah. I agree.
There is a big but with all that, though.
No, carry on, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, the difference is that if you look at back in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920s, the majority of Britain were more or less on the same cultural level.
Yeah, you're right.
And we've had that up until like what, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then now we're getting into a realm where the entire foundation of the United Kingdom is under threat. It's essentially an existential crisis. I don't like hyperbole and all that, but well, it is what it is. So I think because of the desperation and the severity of the situation, I think a party like Restore UK could easily, in the time we've got, could easily get the people, the votes, and the support behind them.
Have Restore got councillors up for elections in certain constituencies or not?
And also, don't forget as well that roughly 50% of people didn't vote in the last election.
I know.
And I think that's going to be more people are going to vote this time for sure.
Yeah, but so where have Restore got their councillors set up?
But if we think about, and I did mention
that's a seat, isn't it? When a council wins an election, right, for the local constituency, that then goes as a seat in Parliament, doesn't it? Is that right?
Yes, in a general. Right. Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to figure is, has Restore got enough councillors up for election in the next election in order to get those seats?
So they're going to need to have at least 326 of those to win.
How many have they got? How many have they got? We should know that.
Well, I would say that
if we're going down the Restore path, Wiz, we should know this. Yeah.
What I think is more likely for them is that perhaps they do win lots and lots of seats, or they're looking very, very popular. It's far more likely that there would be an alliance with another party in which they'd get a foot in the door, which you've got to say, although it's not great, surely that's better than what we've got right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Even if it's Reform that get in, at least they are slightly better than what we've got now, because they probably won't do it, but they have said they'll abolish the ECHR and all of that stuff. I mean, I don't trust them whatsoever, but at the moment, they are the ones that are looking most likely to be victorious. And Restore, I don't think, have got the time to be able to be ready for that general election as much as many people would like them to be.
Yeah,
I agree.
And we also have to remember as well, like, and this is what I was going to say, I mentioned yesterday, we can all sit in this platform right now and discuss what we think should happen because we are mostly in agreement. But outside of here, outside of YouTube, if you go out in the street and talk to people, most people couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, but they need to. They need to understand.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. They need to wake up.
Because I put this up at the beginning of the video in chat. At the beginning of the live stream, rather, in chat, I put up because you'd said that Iran having nuclear weapons and stuff like that. Iran don't even need nuclear weapons. All they need is just an Iranian or an Islamist got access to the button in 10 Downing Street.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm thinking that's maybe why they are pushing this leftist, or they call it the Red Green Alliance, don't they? I call it the leftist Islamist alliance. That's why
the leftists are too thick.
Yeah, they're pushing it even further now because of the very fact that the IRGC are looking like, well, I hope so. I keep hearing rumours of deals being done and what have you. But if the IRGC are completely destroyed, We're looking at more along the lines of from an Islamist point of view, not just Iran.
Yeah.
The Islamic idea is to gain control and power in every non-Muslim country.
Yeah.
So they're putting more effort and more funds and more people and more. This is why you see all these paid protesters turning up, because I guarantee all their money's coming from the Islamic community based outside of the UK, like Qatar and even the IRGC. You know, the Muslim Brotherhood. I bet they're pumping, giving what is it? Stand Up to Racism, millions of pounds of backhanders to push, because they know that we know that this is getting deadly serious for us now.
Yeah.
So the option is they've either got to be able to get the feet under the table now, or because the pushback against them has already started and it's gaining exceptional ground against them.
Yeah.
So they've got to push
the other thing as well about the Islamists is that they believe that life begins when you die. So any Islamist in front of a nuclear button would see, pressing that nuclear button, they would then see themselves as the second coming of Christ or whatever they want.
Yeah, this is why we have to.
Allah, not Christ, but Mohammed. You know what I mean?
Say to both or all three of you, sorry. Why is it do you think that we don't hear about the far left like we hear about the far right? And I know why I think it is, but I just wondered why you think that might be.
It's the far left that are in power. They're the one who've got control of the media.
Well, I think that I don't really think they can be classed as the far left because they'd be pressing the button.
I would agree with you, Richard. They're not. They're centrist.
No. So when they're calling us far right, so they're basically calling us Nazis. Basically, when they're saying that we're far right. Yeah, not that. Well, no, because that's been mirrored actually. Because the far left was the Nazis. I mean,
why are these people who are, as you rightly said, they are centrists? They're not. They're not on the left. They have some things that appear on the left, but generally they're centrist. But why are they specifically not mentioning the far left? Well, I would say the reason for that is quite obvious, because they're not a threat. They pose no threat whatsoever. The only threat they pose is to these protests, which look great and look really dramatic on YouTube, but it's happening in one tiny location in the country. It's not happening all over the country, and it looks like it is. And this is why I just want to put things into perspective for people, because I completely understand what everybody wants. I want that too. But it's all very well and good wanting something. You've got to actually look at what is real. And
what people are going to accept in accordance with their lived reality.
What do you mean, Benki, by that?
Well, like you said, I come from. I've lived through a predominantly Muslim environment.
Ah, yes.
I'm now living in a relatively small town, predominantly English town. Yeah. So the sense of urgency, because it's not on everybody's doorstep, more or less 24/7 here. The sense of urgency is not as urgent as it is, like say in Bradford, where I live.
That's a really good point, and I would say to that, because we mentioned this yesterday, I'm from somewhere that also is very, very English. If you could speak to the people in these market towns, which, let's be honest, the majority of this country isn't the cities, it is the market towns and the villages. What would you say to them, Binky, and how would you try and get through to them how serious this is without sounding like a conspiracist?
That's a difficult challenge, and I've been playing with that for a while. With I mean, you look at somebody like Tommy Robinson, for example. He is well known by tens of millions of people worldwide. But yet still, even when he's got the evidence, the video footage, he's got people confessing to what they've done, all this is there at his disposal to say, if you think I'm being conspiratorial, if you think I'm being racist or vile in whatever way, there's my entire history and it's all there for you to go and see. Yeah. Even with all that evidence, I still hear people coming out and just responding instantly. He's far right. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. He's a racist.
Do you think what they're doing is making a moral judgment of him?
You're not sorry.
Do you think that people are, instead of listening to what he's actually saying, they're looking at him and people make a moral judgment that can be good?
I think those who are seeking positions of power and influence will see it as a moral judgment, because who wants to be associated with a working class lad who's saying all these things that are making people uncomfortable? But on the other hand, I think, and for me, for a while, I mean, even now, I won't tell people exactly where I live, and what I might do, because I'm becoming a little bit more confident with myself now.
Yeah, good.
But most people, and this is what I had when I went to university back in 2012. 2009 actually. All these students, we're doing all the student protests again. We were down in London when they decided they were going to increase tuition fees. Right, if you remember that, there were all the protests and a bit of a riot. There were a riot at the Conservative headquarters. I was down with all them because I believed in. I do believe that education should be acceptable and open to anybody who seeks it. But anyhow, aside from that, I did notice that when I was working as well in construction trade, all the working lads on site were like, all them bloody students, they get our money, they go toss it off at university, getting pissed every night, and they don't have a clue about the realities of life and stuff. Mm. And when I was at university, it was the opposite. They hated the working man on the construction site because they perceived them as all being racist and this and other. So I was trying to say to the people at university, say, no, these are the people who built this university. These are the people who are building every amenity that you take for granted in life. You know, but no matter what I said to them, there's still that. No matter, it's an hard one, because no matter how polite and sincere and how much evidence to support your argument, and we have got a lot of evidence on this side of things. Yeah, I think because, and that one. Sorry, getting back to it. One of the reasons
I think that actually you raised a really important point there.
The thing that I was trying to bring up with the students war. Why these were like all these students? Why are these the working class always against us? I said, well, because why aren't they out on the streets protesting? And my argument was, because they've got a roof and a roof over their head. They've got the obligation to work for the family. They can't risk taking a day off to come out on these protests because they lose a wage that's been poorly paid anyway. Most of these people in these comfortable, small backwater villages in England, the little quaint little chapels and stuff. Yeah. They've got their comfortable little life, and they want to keep that because it's the most sacred thing to anyone, to them, their family, and to step up and put yourself out above the parapet of the trench. So a lot of people, that's just way too much. Even if it is just putting the hand up and saying, no, I beg to differ on that.
Well, I think it's really important. There's a great point that you're making there about class, and it seems to me that what you're saying is that in your experience, the people who are at university who do tend to be more middle class, that is very true. They seem to have a sort of condescending attitude towards people of the working classes, and they think that they're ignorant in their views, and that they need to be taught how to behave and think correctly. Would that be right?
Yeah. There is that perception, and I think it's also a case of the middle class spit on the working man, but the class beneath them. We'll use a class thing because I'm not right keen on it myself, because it's a bit of a grey area, is it? Yes. But for example, the middle class spit on the working class because the working class remind the middle class of what they will have to do if they are not middle class. If the middle class fall from grace in any way, they're going to end up like the working class.
Yeah. So on your question then, Jake, about
the upper class will spit on the middle class because the middle class remind the upper class of how things go when they make a mistake.
Yeah.
So they don't. So everyone's fighting for their position in this hierarchy system. And what people need to realise is that it's the farmer, and Rupert Law's a farming man, isn't he? He's got his own farm, I think, has he?
Well, he wears a barber jacket. Yeah.
And this has been an ongoing issue.
It's Farage that wears a barber
millennia. It's the serfs, the slaves, it's the people like myself and most people who are watching this. We are the ones, and I have to go back to a part in Fight Club where where Tyler Durden captures that rich man, and he makes that speech about we carry out your bins, we take out your trash, we protect you while you sleep. Do not F with us.
Yeah, so we your question there then, Jake, about meeting someone in the marketplace. What you'd really need is kind of a rehearsed. It'd have to be a kind of a rehearsed script that starts from a middle ground. You know what I mean? And then feel where that person's going with the conversation, and then alter things to try and get them to understand your position on the matter. I think AI would be best to write out a speech like that. Or either that, or it'd take me 2 nights of dreaming, to dream one up.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good idea. So let's suppose we put that into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's something that is not going to happen instantly. That's going to take some time to do, isn't it? So what I think you're suggesting there, and I think is a great thing to do, is you're looking at cementing, first of all, a grassroots appeal. So you really get the ordinary people on board.
No.
And from there, that word can spread outwards.
Yeah, and then state the fact by stamping your foot on the ground, saying you realise that this is a Christian foundation, and then go from there.
I have a question.
That has actually worked for me before.
Here's a question for all 3 of you. What is my class?
Your class.
Yeah.
You're very good at debate. You're very good at heading debate, as you're doing now. You're very open to, and then you pick on people's, you say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, and then you move on from there, which is exactly how you should be in.
But am I middle class, working class, upper class?
I would
working class.
If I had not had the experiences that I've had in life with upper, middle, lower class life, through all of it. If I were your average Joe, just working every day in construction and doing whatever, I'd probably regard you as middle to upper class.
Yeah.
However, because of my experiences and because of the people I've come into contact, this is why I don't like that whole class thing. Yeah. I would regard you, and this is why a lot of people, when I used to go out drinking and what have you, and socialising, a lot of people didn't like me because I was a different class to them. And I say different class, what I mean is, I think your class, I would regard you as educated and informed.
Yeah. You see,
versus the uneducated and uninformed, which is what I would regard as like the modern day working class. Not all of them, but the majority of hard grafters are not interested in education or higher states of being. They just want to graft.
Should they be?
We can go back to the family.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And why
should they need people like us to fight for them?
Back in the 80s.
But the answer to the question,
because they're well prepared to fight themselves. We've seen it.
I'll tell you the answer.
And I am. But
the answer is, I am working class. I come from a single parent family on a council estate. I was still living on a council estate, in fact, up until around Christmas time when I moved into where I currently am. Apart from a brief period of 15 years of teaching, where you could arguably say that's a middle class job, then I am working class. I always have been. And then, yes, you could say that I'm educated. Book educated doesn't mean the same as life education. And I'm doing what I'm doing because I've got the time to do it and because I can't work full time. So I'm trying to do something to, sort my mind out. But I also like to speak to people and understand what people are thinking, why they're thinking it, and trying to help people to understand that sometimes what they think is great isn't necessarily possible, and that kind of thing, which is what I think we're finding everybody here is doing, and that's good. We don't have to agree.
Can all three of you answer this?
Can I just mention one thing briefly? Because Pat has just mentioned something really important there. And he said that he's working class and he grew up on a South London council estate. Now, why that's important is because the experience of living on a council estate is not uniform. Pat's experience on a South London council estate is not the same as a council estate in rural Suffolk. Yeah. They're very, very different needs. And this is why people who, like Binky was mentioning, who will look down on the working class, don't understand that there are huge differences within that as well.
Yeah,
this is why I don't like the old class war rhetoric. It's I think I managed to get as close to what I was trying to say as possible a minute ago when I said, and I'm not saying the working class. I'm going to use these terms because they're understandable, not because I believe in that.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
I think the vast majority of the working class, I'm not by any means saying that they're thick. Absolutely not. Everyone, there's masses of intelligence out there and creative thinking. What I'm saying is that the majority of the working class community have not had access to the types of education needed in order to be able to guide, lead, and run like a business or a major corporation or even a country.
Can I just mention something there? Because that's a really good point that you've raised. Because when I was teaching, as I mentioned before, I taught in grammar schools for girls in Medway in Kent, which is very, very deprived. And the first school I was in particular, it was a very, very deprived area. It's in Chatham, which I'm sure many of you know of. It's the original home of the Chav. And I was there at that particular point when that was popular. And you're absolutely right, Binky. What you find is that people get stuck in an environment, and in an environment like that, there was a docks that shut down, so everyone lost their jobs, and you get stuck in that cycle of poverty. And what the grammar school offered those girls is it offered them a way out. And so that's why I really like working with them, because I was from that same background. I wanted to.
The people in the schools that I grew up in, like the council estates, the working class people are taught how to follow rules and how to stick at a job. The middle to upper class in society are taught how to manage other people.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And I'll put that into a context, which is when I left school, I didn't even know what university was. I'd heard of it, but it just sounded like school to me. I had absolutely no idea what it meant. No one had ever spoken to me about having a career or anything like this. And I noticed through teaching that there is definitely an expectation amongst the middle classes that the career of their child is already decided before that child has finished their schooling, because Binky is right. They learn how to manage the people who are below them and keep their eye on how they can get up the ladder to improve themselves. Whereas the working classes don't have that opportunity anymore, and they lost it, I think, because the grammar schools were shut in the late 60s and 70s, and very few areas in the country still have them, and they should bring them back, because those girls who I taught, they came from abject poverty, some of them. You wouldn't think that they had much hope in life, but yet they were bright. They were very raw, they were rough diamonds, but they were very bright. And with the right direction, all they really needed, to be perfectly honest, was just confidence. And if you could give them some confidence in their ability, then they really did shine. And that's why I like working with them. And that was a great job to have.
As well as that, the people I've worked in, the industries I've worked in and around. I mean, I used to love working on building sites. When I first started as a labourer, going in and just getting physical with the work. A lot of the working community love that. They don't like the idea of having to go to all these training classes and learn all management. They just want to, right, this is a job. This is what needs to be done. And the worker just goes, right, leave me to it. It'll get done by end of day, job done. That's what most people enjoy doing. And what we've done is we've taken away all their industries and their means to be able to to work in long-term, meaningful, secure jobs that are going to maintain their lives until they retire. And now they've just so instead of sending everybody to university, what they should be doing is going, right, we're going to, like the coal mines. This is my great one. The coal mines, when they shut the coal mines down and just decimated millions and millions of lives across England. In hindsight, mind you, this is what we should be doing, or what the best way to have gone through that is to go to head of the miners on that particular site and go, right, this mine's getting closed down in 6 months' time or 12 months' time. What we're going to do, you're still going to work for 5 days a week. You're going to get paid for 5 days a week. On the 5th day, we're going to send you to a local college we've just opened up. You get primary access to teach you and to help you teach your kids about the next level of technology we're bringing in, like wind power and solar powers. Then they can close the mine down, and these workers can
Good luck with that, mate.
Can I just mention something on that, Binky? Because I think this is a really good idea. What we need to have in this country is to bring back the technical colleges so that people can learn trades and industries and start their own small businesses, because we haven't got in the amount of plumbers that we need. My stepfather is a joiner.
And they're all becoming politicians, mate.
Well, that's true. But my stepfather was a joiner. I know from his experience that having an apprentice join their firm wasn't worth it, because it cost them too much money to do it. As much as he wanted to, there were too many restrictions. And so I don't think that people... Tony Blair wanted 50% of the population to go to university. That is absolute bollocks. In the past, it used to be about 20% would go to university, and that's what it should be brought back to, because not everybody needs to go to university. People should be able to go out, learn a trade, learn how to start a small business and support their family. People who want to go into academia, like I eventually wanted to do, then they've got that opportunity to go there as well. That's not being taken away from people. But as long as that opportunity is still there through the schooling, and I think doing both of those things should be combined with something else that I think is absolutely vital and should be an emergency, which is a national housing program, so that we can have affordable housing for the people who live here. And you could combine that with this training for apprenticeships, because especially now they've made it law for everybody to have to stay until 18. Now, I personally think that between 18 and 20, they should then do a national service and do community service as well, so that they actually understand what their community is like. But I'm going to pause there because I realise I've just made several points, so I'll let you come back.
Can I just... Right. But do you remember, I might have got this wrong, but back in, was it 2007, 2008, when was it Gordon Brown? He was he Prime Minister?
He was, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I have got my time, yeah. I was working in construction trade through an agency. That's another issue as well, but we'll come to that later. I was working as a slinger, signaller, banksman. I were securing the loads, hooking them up to tower crane, and then telling tower crane driver where to go. Literally sometimes, but yeah.
I know what they're like.
Because I was working through an agency, the jobs, I was working with building student accommodation, and this particular job was coming to an end. And I'd been given till the end of the week, thankfully. The manager of this site was the company was spot on. He said, look, we don't like doing this, but because you're an agency, your job's coming to an end this week. We're taking crane down. Next week, sorry. He says, but what I'll do is I'll keep you on for an extra week. You can work in security or potter around and stuff, give you enough time to find something else, which were a very rare occurrence. So anyhow, when it came to the next week and I'd finished my job, I went to the job centre and I said, look, I'm out of work now. Have you got all? And they were like, no. So I had to sign on. I fucking hate doing all that stuff, but I had to sign on anyhow.
Yeah.
Saturday, I had to that Friday. Yeah, it was a Friday afternoon. I found this advertisement. This company would advertise into wanting people to come in and be trained up to be gas fitters. You do all the plumbing training all the way up to, at that time it was Corgi, to become a Corgi registered plumber stroke gas fitter. And it was around the same time that Gordon Brown came out and gave all these statistics saying we need about 50,000 plumbers, 30,000 joiners, and all this and other. So I'm like, right, okay, well, maybe I should try this. So I went on the Saturday to an interview with this company in Manchester and did the interview, and they were training. It was a training course. I think it was a 2-year training course, and they showed us the warehouse where they had all the little kitchens set up where you do your practicing, your plumbing and what have you. And so like, right, okay, brilliant. So the Monday, I went into the job centre and said, look, I can come off at Dole now. I've just been offered this place potentially to do this training course to be a plumber. Bear in mind, Gordon Brown had said we need X amount of all this. I said, look, I've just been accepted on this training course potentially. I'm going to get a phone call in a bit to see whether or not would you be able to fund me and sponsor me to go on it, because I will be. It's for the country, it's for the economy. No, sorry, sir. We do offer forklift training though. I'm like, no. You're the government. You are the job centre. You are the one who's going to get me employed. The one who's going to get us paying tax. This is the problem that's facing the country. This is the opportunity I've just been given to help with that.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? Oh no, sorry, we can only give you a forklift license. So that afternoon, I was at home, and the company rang me up and says, "Oh, Mr. Cheltenham."
Just stop you there for a second, Binky. Just wanted to address one of the comments there. That yes, I clearly am thick. I clearly am thick as shit. Yes, you're quite right.
I saw that.
Who's saying that? I'm not seeing screen.
Just to you what it was doesn't mean that everybody does. Not everybody has.
I didn't have it, mate.
So, if you want to say that that's what makes somebody thick as shit, then that's fine. But I would turn the accusation back on yourself.
Who is it? Chirac.
Yeah.
Is it Chirac? Yeah. Right. That's it, lad. That's it. PlayStation controller, no more PlayStation for a month. No keyboard, neither for 2 weeks.
Can I pick up on what Binky was saying there? Because I think
just one last thing. Really so when this company rang me up that Monday and says, "Oh, Mr. Sir, I'm proud to say that you've got a place on this course," I'm like, "Well, sorry, I can't afford it." Because it turns out it's like it would have £32,000 or something like that for the full course.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that the job centre would be able to sort it out, because it's the government wanting us all trained up.
You'd think so.
And suddenly I'm finding that I've got to find £40,000 in order to pay for this. It's like, well, who can afford that?
Yeah.
So it's like so it's not that the willingness of the working people is not there. It's the fact that they're all these politicians are saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The country's in a mess. It's like, well, we're offering our services and you're doing nothing to help us to so that we can be in a position to help the country. So
there's an interesting point there, Binky, and when you mentioned the funding there, because of course everyone who goes to university has access to a student loan. And the reason that there's access to a student loan is obviously because the interest on it goes back to the government as a stealth tax over the.
Yeah, I think I owe X amount of thousands of pounds from my student fees, because I tapped into that, and it turns out as well. I'm not sure whether it's still true, but anybody wanting to go to university, if you have been brought up in foster care, it turns out, and I only found this out in my 3rd year, and there's no back payment, unfortunately, because I asked them, if you've been brought up in foster care and go to university, you're entitled to an extra £1,000 per term.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I'm not sure
anyone watching is in foster care or knows someone who is, then get them that grand.
They'll tell you. Yeah, not like me with my hand. When I went to Social Security and I said, I've got this issue, right? And they said, oh yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. And then that were about 16 years old. And then I went to Portland Training College, and they said, if you've got any disability, which obviously I did because it were a college for disabled people, they said, we've got this specialist, right? And they'll tell you what you can. And she says, well, you can't really handle pots and pans, can you? I said, no. Peel and chop vegetables. I said, no. Every time I hold a full-size King Edward potato in this hand, it flies across on the side at Chuffing Kitchen. She said, well, then, yeah, of course you are. You can get carers, not carers. some allowance anyway. She said. So then I got that, and then I tried. Then I tried to backdate it to when I was 16, and they said no, you can't. Or there were plenty of posters up and stuff like that saying that you could, you know, apply for stuff if you've got these.
Yeah,
Richard
told me about the aftercare leaving grant for students who've been in foster care in my third year, and I'm like, hey, that can't be real. So I went and asked the receptionist in the student union. Were like, yeah, just fill this form out, get proof that you were in care, and then yeah, there were £1,000 in my back pocket.
Well, I don't know about you two. And Wiz as well, and of course people in the chat. But as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely crazy that we're not investing in our country. I do not understand why we're doing it, and I think that the main reason for getting everyone to university was, like I say, it's a way of raising money. It's also a way of indoctrinating people into that particular way of thinking. Now,
good system abused by elite political.
I'm going to be honest here and say, when I went to university, it was in the late 90s. I then did teacher training in the early 2000s, and then obviously I've been back there for the last 4 years. I have never in my time in education ever seen any of this lefty stuff that you hear about on the internet. Yes, you do see it in schools, and yes, these things do happen, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it hasn't happened to me, but that's mostly because I don't get involved in that sort of thing, and I don't really care about it. But what I really wanted to say was, and I think this is absolutely vital, and it makes me furious, is that it took, I've heard about, your stories. It took 3 years for me to be able to get all of my payments once I'd been declared medically retired, and I still haven't got all of them. And what is infuriating is that when it comes to people who have got a genuine condition, like Richard has just mentioned, like the one that I have, they make it absolutely impossible for you to get that money. They will do everything to stop you doing it. Like, they won't tell you, they won't help you with the forms. They'll lose the forms, they'll lose your documents. They'll say that there's nothing wrong with you and get you to go through the whole process again, which takes months. And yet people come in who've contributed absolutely fuck all, and they get all of that for free. For free.
Yeah. No, I specialised in, I think the course was Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution at Bradford University. And the levels of snobbery from most of the other students who like you said, came from a middle class background. I remember one afternoon we had a guy come in from the RAF, and he basically said, "I'm here because we have to do a course." He was a high-ranking officer, or I don't know, officer, sergeant, major, or whatever in RAF. He says we have to do this course with you, so we can figure out how best to evolve the armed forces, so we can be more efficient, better prepared, and be more on target when we're called up to war. And I once sat next to him. I sat like 2 tables back, and throughout the entire seminar, he was just being berated. What about the Iraq War? What about all the dead children and stuff? And I had my head in my hands throughout it all. It was like, oh my God, this. And I had to catch hold of him when at the end of the seminar when he left. And I said to him, I says, "Look, I'm really sorry." I says, "I respect your position and where you are, and I'm sorry you had to deal with all that, because even though the war I might not agree with, your position within society in our country is absolutely essential in order to keep us all safe from those who want to kill us." And it would just, they didn't even give him a chance to explain his position. It's the same thing with the left all the time. You see it on these demonstrations when Billy Moore and Little Bob are going up to people and asking them, "Oh, can you tell us why you're here?" "No, don't want to talk." The handlers come along and pull them away. "Don't talk to cameras." It's like, well, and then they'll go over to these so-called far-right fascists, and these far-right fascists are all stood there going, "Yeah, come on, let's have a chat. This is what we're about. This is what's going wrong."
Young Bob there, because I think he's someone that doesn't really get spoken about very much, and I think it's important to talk about him. because
he's a lovely young lad, but he's not street smart, and he needs to be street smart.
If I were, I mean, I used to teach A-level students, so I taught people of his age. If I were teaching him and I knew what he was getting up to,
Jack's wing commander, that's what he was. I think he was.
If I were teaching him, I would have to, as part of my duty, I would have to say, do you know that he is doing these things? And that would then perhaps trigger an investigation for prevent. So that is something that is a very left-wing bias. But also, at the same time, I agree with what Binky has said. I don't think that he's mature enough to be in the situations that he's putting himself in. And I think that he really needs to have someone with him all the time that can guide him and look out for him, because he is a bright lad, but he's also very, very young. He's got a lot of things to learn.
Very naive.
He doesn't know his street smarts yet. And what he's not thinking at the moment is he's not thinking into the future, because he'll end up getting a criminal record and that could affect him in the future. And he's not thinking that because he's getting a really good response to what he's doing. And so it suits him to do that in the present. But don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging the guy off. I've got a lot of time for young Bob, and I think he's doing the right thing. I just wish he had someone that was giving him the right guidance, because I think, but I'm not right about this, I'm pretty sure that he's estranged from his parents in some way and not living with them, which...
they kicked him out.
I think a little bit, they kicked him out because he were questioning the left and questioning what was going on, and I think there were a big... I don't want to speak on behalf of him, but from what I've understood, there were a big ruckus within the family, and they asked him, why would you kick your kid out just because they think differently to you?
I know, it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. I just can't understand why somebody, like you said about how they won't speak to them at the protest, I don't understand why somebody is going to behave like that and make a judgment like that about somebody just because of their opinion.
Why would you go out in public to be on the public stage, only to then turn around when the public come and ask what you're all about, to turn around and tell them to F off and go away and be all insulting? Why?
What's the point of a protest? Is to get your point across.
Exactly. And I think they don't. I think the left don't like being questioned, is because somebody like Bob asks all the right kind of questions that would otherwise force any reasonable human being to either reaffirm their position or to say, actually, I didn't think of that. Maybe you're right. I'll look into that. How about that?
Talking about Christianity to a leftist, it just results in a circular argument.
Yeah, it does, but that's because they've replaced it with something that is very, very religious, like in its kind of makeup, which is this modern leftist way of thinking, or this sort of centre-left thinking, I suppose, is the real way of looking at it.
That's why the Islamists get along so well.
Well, the Islamists, as we've seen with that dickhead Yaqub, the Islamists don't care what these parties believe in. They are literally doing it to get into power, and they're quite happy to say it. And they're quite happy, I'm sure if you ask them in private, to say that, yes, we'll do everything we can with them, and as soon as we've got into power, we're throwing them off a rooftop.
Yeah. Or Mrs. Lefty, you feel like you're being alienated and victimised in society. Come and join the Muslim. We'll look after you, because we also have been victimised and what have you. We understand.
Have you been victimised?
It's grooming. It's clearly grooming.
Where's have you been victimised?
Not that I know of.
No, Richard.
What?
Have you been victimised ever?
What by?
By anyone for any reason, or oppressed in some way?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Binky, have you been oppressed or victimised?
I prefer to put it in this term. A victim, is somebody who does not have the strength to survive or recover from an antagonising incident in their life. I've been through a hell of a lot. I've never seen myself as a victim. See, this is where I
That's
always.
what I'm getting at, Binky. Is that
I'm
we've
a
all been oppressed.
You
but we-
knew you
There
were going to get
there
yes
are-
or no.
There are
This is it.
there are certain words and sentences that I cannot say on the internet, which I would like to say, right? Due to being victimized by, could get coppers knocking on door or something like that, because it
I am a
someone else's view.
survivor. I have always been a survivor. I have never been a victim.
And
And
Binky,
them two words have enormous power within the mind and the spirit of the individual.
I agree with you, Binky, and I would just say, just to push in for a second, Binky, I would say I'm really happy for you that you've come to that definition, because that definition is a really, really good one, and that shows the strength in your character. But what I would say, in order for the conversation as a whole, is why is it that these people fight for the oppressed and victimized people who are black and who are gay and who are trans, and couldn't give two fucks about ordinary working class white people like any of us on the panel or in the chat? We are the people that should count.
Because it's easier to sell snake oil to somebody who's a victim than it is to sell snake oil to somebody who's a survivor.
Yeah. That's true. And none of us are here to take...
If you teach somebody that they're a victim, then a victim, by definition, is needs to rely on somebody else or some outside force to help them.
Yeah.
Whereas a survivor can find it in themselves to go, okay, this shit thing's happened to me. What can I do now in order to make sure it doesn't happen?
But if the law of the land is against you, then of course you're being victimized. You're being victimized by the law of the land.
Yeah, that's true.
I've changed that to being oppressed. We're being oppressed by the law. This is why the British government is legitimate. No British government oppresses its people. It's in the Magna Carta. It's the reason why the Magna Carta were written, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To stop the kings from
and they're ignoring it. They're ignoring it. They're not even teaching it in schools anymore.
Exactly, and this is why the British government is not a legitimate government. It is a
therefore having those common laws taken away from us means that we're being victimized as well. Surely.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
There are certain words you can't say, mate, on YouTube or wherever, even in public, and then you get arrested. So of course you're being victimized all the time.
If we think about that, though, Richard, do you know anyone personally that has been arrested for any of these sorts of crimes?
To be honest, no. Only what I've seen on the internet.
Yeah, and I'm the same about that, and I see it. And it pulls me.
I have said one or two things that's kept me up at night, thinking, "Oh my God, I might get the police knocking on my door," but they haven't.
That's the
know
point.
what I mean?
That is the point, Richard.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people actually get arrested. It only needs to take one Lucy Connolly for you then to think, oh, shit, I might get in trouble for this. I better not say that. And why shouldn't you say it? We've got freedom of expression in this country. Yeah. You can say...
Even when I was leaving to...
Say, I hate Islam and I hate everything it stands for. And that is perfectly legitimate speech.
Yeah. Even when I left for Benidorm and came back from Benidorm, it were in the back of my mind. You know what I mean? Are these going to, take me away because I've said something wrong on internet or something? It didn't happen. Fine.
It's another reason why people don't speak out as much as we're speaking out in public. I mean, you look at the BBC are a classic one. I remember a few years ago, I started seeing, when I lived in Bradford, I started seeing these big billboards up everywhere saying, Mr. Smith at this address has been fined £1,000 for non-payment of TV license. And it's stuff like that that's in your face, either literally or on the social back burner, that if you dare speak out about this and this, then they're going to come for you. So I think that's what that's a fear inherent within the middle to upper class.
It's a soft power
type of community.
All that in
it's like don't, and this is what were it, Nigel Farage or that other guy? He basically turned around and says we don't want them in our party. Were it Farage? We don't want them. about the Unite the Kingdom rally. Says we don't.
Farage, and Tice.
Yeah, I think it was Richard Tice.
Richard Tice. I liked it. I liked them for a while. I really admired them for a while, and then when I started learning more about what he was exposing, when I started finding out the truth about Tommy Robinson, and then I started following these marches. I went to 2 of them. I went to the first one, and I went to the last one in London. I'd listened to what he was saying and what the people around him were saying, and who the people around him were. Black.
Where are you, Binky? Anyway, brown. Where are you, Binky? Where do you live?
I'm up in Scunthorpe.
Oh, Scunny.
I'm from Bradford originally.
Yeah.
The only place in England that's got a cunt in its name.
Yeah.
I used to work with a guy from Scunthorpe. I used to work for a guy from Scunthorpe. He used to come all the way to Mansfield, to come and work at Teleplan where I used to work. And I ended up taking up over his job, television repair and that. Because he used to have to come all the way.
Richard, don't tell me things like that. I'm a guitar player. I'm going to be pestering you to make me effects pedals. Now I know this. No, I'm joking. But I have always secretly wanted to know someone who knows electronics so that I can.
I do have a circuit diagram for a wah-wah pedal, I think.
Have you? One of these?
Yeah.
One of these things?
Yeah, one of them, yeah. Circuit diagram for one anyway, yeah. Not the mechanics of it. That'd have to be down to Binky to do. Mechanical bits. Yeah.
But I
want a dodge and pedal. Want a dodge and pedal.
Going off track there, I would say that I've been lucky enough, as I'm sure you two both have as well, of being able to speak to people from across all different aspects of society. And I would like to think that I can speak to anyone about any subject and hopefully be able to find some common ground with them. But what I would say I have noticed in all of my years is that if you speak to people who are at the very top, the proper elite, are scruffy bastards who do not give a flying fuck about anything. They don't talk about money. They're really down to earth, and they might look like Rupert Lowe, but they'll be scruffier. That sort of type.
Yeah, I know one, mate. I know one. I went to go and visit him yesterday.
And then I would say, if you then look at the opposite end, people. Yes, you do get people who live on council estates who are a bit, you know where I'm coming from, that people will think, I don't want to associate with them. But people who live on council estates are decent, honest people who are just doing the best that they can. And it doesn't matter whether they're in London, Manchester, rural Suffolk or wherever. I find that the best conversations I've had have always been with people from my own sort of background, because middle class people are the worst ones, because they look down, they want to be up, and they're not happy that they're not there.
That's just reminded me. I'm actually a weird one, right? Because I'm working class. I'm on a council estate, right? Now, my mum and my sister are working class, but think that they're middle class. Right, my dad was very. I'm just like my dad.
My sister,
whereas my mum uses the Queen's English. My sister uses the Queen's English, and
she'll give you a backhand if you swear in front of her.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah, or my dad. Yeah, or my mum couldn't handle me. My dad used to give me a belt.
You've raised a good point, and I think to an extent, I think Binky was kind of alluding to this much earlier, which is that we do get judged by our accents, and where somebody is from does form a judgment in people's minds.
It is a bit of a stigmatism from the old, when the young ones did that thing. Oh, Daddy's got a Porsche like this.
Yes,
and also it's really just your accent, I suppose. But it was a stigmatism brought about from the posh people who used to speak on the BBC and stuff like that, and but. It's the bath and things like that.
Well, the reason that they do that is that's called received pronunciation. And the reason they did that was so that everyone could understand English to say. But what I think is really important and that we're losing, and this is, I think, really, really sad, is we forget that our culture also includes our language. And I don't just mean the literature, and I don't just mean the everyday things that we're talking about. What I'm talking about here is our accent, the dialect that we use, which we've mentioned before about saying duck.
Then again, it's more southern, more towards London. You know what I mean? Which used to be a posh capital. You know what I mean? It used to be quite posh there. All the elites are dang out there. Look at the property prices over there. But now it's not.
I don't want to live in England where you've got that horrible, the UK accent that black people in London use. I do not want to hear that. I don't want to hear a foreign accent as being symbolic of my country. I want to hear someone's accent and think to myself, right, I know where they're from in the country. People from there are good people or whatever. But, I know who they are. I recognize them and they're part of my team, if you know what I mean. But that's what we lose. That's our culture.
People who use the word in it instead of isn't it.
Hell, I hate.
No, sorry, that was supposed to be a joke because I found myself doing it quite a lot. Me and my ex. My ex used to say, she'd say something, and then at the end of every sentence, she'd be like, "Do you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Then again, that was. It's like, no, I don't know what you mean. Will you tell me for the 10th time?
But then that accent will really, it will really impersonalize it, impressioned by Ali G and that. And that's
let me give you an example.
Be like, kids would be saying, "Oh, I want to be like Ali G," innit? You know what I mean?
I'll give you an example of accent and how easily deceived we are by it. The very first school that I ever worked in as a trainee was Sutton Coldfield Grammar School for Girls. And it's a lovely old building. It looks very quaint, quite posh. And I thought, oh, this is all right, good place to work. And I went to the assembly and the head girl stood up to read a speech. And as soon as she opened her mouth with this broad Brummie accent, and it completely changed the image of it just because of that accent. So it instantly went from looking like this posh middle-class place to then, oh, right, these are Brummies here. It's completely disarming. And we all do this, whether we admit it or not. We all make these judgments about where people are from, but just based on their accent to a degree. We shouldn't.
Look at that green woman. I forgot her name now. Dressed like Barney from the Barney. So you think like that she'd be quite Queen's Englishy, but then when she starts talking, she's really dropping a lot of letters out.
It's a bit like those Boddington's adverts they used to have. Melanie Sykes.
The water in the jolter don't taste quite like what it oughter.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
We'll do it though, don't we?
The worst insult, and I don't get insulted that much. I don't take insult that much. I don't get offended. But the worst insult that anybody has ever said to me, and it still hurts me to this day. During my foster care years, I think I was about 13 when it was decided that because the adoption process wasn't working out for me, that instead I were to go live with what they call long-term community carers. So you go with them and you stay with that same family until you leave care, instead of bouncing around different families or different foster homes. So I would always lucky in the care system I always ended up with a foster family, not in like a Borstal or a foster home. But anyhow, I ended up going to live with a couple in Nelson in Lancashire. And that went horribly wrong. That only lasted for about 3 months. And I moved back, went to live with foster parents in Idle in Bradford. Brilliant village name, Idle. I think they've got a club called the Idle Working Man's Club as well, and it's renowned all over the world because tourists will go just to get the picture taken outside.
Right, lads. I believe Wiz wants to do something with his news.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, sorry.
We've basically
colonised this channel.
Colonised this channel, and not let you say this asylum seeker. So what you got to tell us about ghosts and asylum seekers then, Wiz?
Oh no, I was letting you just say what you're saying. I'm not gonna stop.
We've done this. All right. We've done.
We're getting carried away again.
But yeah,
but I have read this Ghosts. Ghost did it. It's that. The dog ate my homework.
Ghost.
Yeah, I've heard some my time. This is, but it's more to talk about sort of the illegal immigration. Sorry, asylum seekers
fine. Ghosts.
that are actual blooming criminals. Do you know what I mean? Like, we keep getting told that we're not allowed to say anything. Like, they're coming into this country and you're like, oh, they're criminals. And they're like, yeah, but not all of them. Oh, just a very few of them. Yeah, but regardless, there's going to be victims when they wouldn't be victims if you didn't let them in the country. And then you got this idiot setting fires. He turns around and says, ghosted it. I mean, what planet are we on? Are we that retarded as a country?
Mentally unstable, then, isn't he? Therefore, give him a mentally unstable bloody fine or something of nothing.
Yeah. The British people we were just about getting a handle on things.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, the integration of the black community in Italy, there were a lot of racism and a lot of fights. National Front and
disappeared, didn't it? Yeah.
But we managed over time to build a respect for each other. We now appreciate each other's cultures. I mean, Afro-Caribbean barbecues. Whoa, yeah, any day. And we were just about getting into a situation where we started being able to handle any issues, any problems a lot better than we were before. And then suddenly we've just been bombarded with all the world's problems, not dumped on our doorstep, basically invited in. And now not only we've got to deal with our own issues, we've got to take on all these scumbags who are coming in and taking.
Not only that, but it's also
what the heck.
It's also a culture that can't be changed, you see, because it's been that way since 400 AD, and it's a culture that can't be changed because it's a word of God. You know what I mean?
We won't send them back to France, though. I mean, have you seen France recently? It is a bit of a shithole. I mean, it was against their human rights.
Not as much as a shithole as it is in Gaza and wherever, Iran.
I don't know. I remember a few years ago, I went on holiday there with my missus at the time. We missed the ferry coming back and had to stay overnight in Calais. And we thought, let's have a drive around and see what it's like around here. Fucking hell. It was just full of African, sub-Saharan African gangs walking around. It was terrifying. I was glad that when I went to the market the day before, I bought a flick knife. I was glad to have that in my pocket.
This is why I don't understand the British government. What have we been giving? We've been giving the French government, what is it, 500 million a year to tackle the gangs, and then it took somebody like a guy called Tommy Robbo, to start going over and start destroying all these dinghies, and he would getting told by the French people, thank you, you're helping us out here, thank you.
But the French authorities,
the police came down on him. And the French government banned him from going to France, and it's like, and he stood there going, "It's taken me £57 in petrol and like £35 a night for a bed and breakfast, and I've just stopped like 5,000 illegal migrants from coming across into England. Where's the 500 million?" And he's the one getting attacked for it. You know, he's a bit of a rough lad for my liking, but I'd probably enjoy a pint with him in pubs. You know what I mean? He seems like a decent enough lad. He's give him the 500 million, and there'd be no asylum. None of these. I'm not going to say asylum seekers because they're not asylum seekers. They've come through like 6 or 7 different peaceful, decent countries. You know, do you know what I mean?
So they're here for milk and honey, but all we've got left is beeswax.
They are the British equivalent of what Biden were doing in America with letting them all in and giving them the right to vote and stuff. Labour's letting them all in because they know full well they've lost the majority vote from the British people. So they're letting all these migrants, and this is why they want to bring in digital ID. Yeah. And Starmer has been in talks with China about trade. They want to build this massive AI centre in England. China wants to fund it. They want to bring in digital ID, which basically then allows the Fabian Society to have backdoor access to our digital ID system, so they can turn around and if a police officer arrested what he presumed were an illegal migrant, because of Starmer's digital ID, he'll look at that guy's ID who's just landed. He's still got the channel, English Channel salt in his hair. He'll show him this ID, and it'll say on his ID that he's that he's a Christian, that he's been a resident in the United Kingdom for 30 years. He's got families, this and other. That's why they're bringing in digital ID, so they can fudge the books and go, look, we've got all these people that they're not illegal.
Well, you should know exactly how long someone's been in the country, but with the national insurance number, surely,
and with their accent as well, like we were saying, going back to the lingo and stuff. Yeah. I know my neighbour who's probably been living here for 30, 40 years, came in 40s or 50s. He's an Englishman because I can tell by his accent. I know that he's got some foreigner in him, but he's a British born, whatever and stuff. Like we were saying, you can tell just by the what they call them, foibles of somebody's. The way somebody comes across, you can tell whether they're decent enough or not by the little tells that they give away. And like we were saying, the accent and the dialect.
Yeah, like that bloke on what were it, Inglorious Bastards or something. You know, when that German said, he said, how many drinks would you like? And that
try,
English guy said
try,
that.
You did it,
he said, we Germans do it like that or something.
Yeah.
So they shot him.
It turns out that's true. I was reading some other day. There were a suspected informant in this unit of soldiers in some particular war. I can't remember the exact details. Yeah. And in order to find out exactly who this informant is, the commander. Yeah. Basically, one of the traditions that they had in this particular country, when they got this particular ration, the commander tapped it 3 times on the table before he opened it.
Yeah,
and he knew who the informant was because he knew that his men had the same tradition built into them.
Yeah.
So he got them all around the round table. He sat down and he watched them tap it, open it, until the one guy just opened it, and then he just shot him there and then.
Yeah.
Got the informant because he knew exactly who it was. And
might be that sniper one actually. Might have been that sniper. Enemy at the gates. It was called, I think. Not Inglorious Bastards. It were Enemy at the Gates, I think. Yeah, we're trying to find out.
It were Inglorious Bastards with because they're in the cafe, aren't they? They're in the cafe going to meet the
that's right.
Resistance.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that one.
And this is where dialect comes in, because with dialect as well, as somebody with if you come across somebody with a Brummie accent, and it's somebody with a Yorkshire accent, you know, it's kind of with the Mason's handshake. With the accents, you know what level of banter and how much you can potentially jibe at the, go on, you Brummie dickhead. You can tell.
I can't actually do the symbol, but I'll use before. But you see this a lot, on internet. Yeah, from I don't know if you can see that or not.
A pyramid,
yeah. The upside. No, it's upside down. Actually, the upside down triangle that they do. If you keep your eye out for that, it means that they want to turn our government on its head. You know what I mean? That's what it means. Turn our culture and government on. I've seen it a couple of times now, and they're all Muslims that do it. You know what I mean? Like their secret little thing.
Oh yeah, and the Muslims, you'll see them doing that. They'll do that. They'll point.
Actually, lads, it's like that. You know what I mean?
I know.
I can't do it. I'm a disabled. But yeah.
But I think Binky's did raise a fantastic point then. And it's what we were talking about before. It's that our culture isn't something that you can just write down. It's something that is actually a lived experience. Like he just said, you hear someone with a Yorkshire accent, you know where they're from. Yorkshire people tend to be quite dry, so you can be a bit sarky in your banter. We understand something about that person because of where they're from and where that place fits in with England.
It's what that person's inherited from a very long line of people within this cultural corner of the world. It's a bit like the difference between somebody who's born into money and somebody who acquires money. The English, the indigenous English, we were born into this, not just because we were born at this particular time, but because our bloodline and our, so the heritage goes back further than somebody who's just come off a boat 10 minutes ago and says, "Oh yeah, I identify as an Englishman. Give me your hotels and what have you."
Yeah.
It's
taking a piss.
Very much so.
And why should we have to put up with that? We shouldn't, is the simple answer.
Because we went over and colonized half the world, remember?
Yeah.
Well, look how bad the world's turned out since the British Empire's no more. How well are these countries doing on their own? But not very well, are they?
India's railways that we're left with that we left them with basically dilapidated. They're about as bad as British rail now.
That argument is stupid. I mean, it doesn't stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever, does it?
Yeah.
It really doesn't. That colonization. It's obvious that since the late 1960s, there has been an assault on Western culture that started in academia. Some of it, not all of it, some of it came through philosophies from before that, such as the Frankfurt School that you probably heard of in the 20s and 30s in Germany. So some of it did come through that, but the extent of that is, I think, overplayed. But certainly from the 60s, there has been a deliberate attempt to undermine our culture. And it started with things like the hippie movement. In the 70s, I would even argue that the punk movement was part of that as well, because the people that started the punk movement were not working class people. It was very middle class people like Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood. And it's not just that, it's you then had the destruction of the family unit with getting women to go into the workplace, which means that you then get double the tax and the revenue and the income. And the most damaging things really are difficult to point down, because it isn't something that you can say, this happened at this point and everything changed. It's been done in little increments over time that build up. And to get to the society that we want to, and to knock all of that down, is not something that can be done easily. And it's going to take political will to do it. And this is what I'm trying to say earlier on. It's not easy.
It's going to, and I think this is another reason why the middle class and the upper class don't particularly like the working class, because, like I was saying before, we ain't afraid of getting our hands dirty. And what is potentially around the corner is we having to get our hands dirty on the streets of England. Now, the middle class, although they may endorse it from a distance and go, "Oh yeah, go fight the war for us," blah 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 blah. They don't want to get involved up front and in the face, because then it puts them in the same level as us. And I think they're worried that the whole entire established order is going to be disrupted by everybody, and suddenly the upper class and the middle class are going to be finding themselves in the same trenches on British streets as we are, And they don't want to be associated with us. Oh God, no! That guy who swears a lot. Oh, forbid that! No way. That kind of. And it's like, I'm sorry, love, but your British stiff upper lip might have worked on BBC back in the 70s and stuff when you were entertaining people and taking the piss. But the reality is hitting home now, and we don't have time for the British stiff upper lip anymore.
Yeah, fed up of it. Yeah.
If you stop buying up all the affordable housing and selling them off to your blooming posh mates and turning them into golf clubs, if you start helping us build secure accommodation and secure work, meaningful, progressive work for us working people, then we will quite happily jump into that sewage pipe and clean the shit out of the pipe.
Put things into perspective. I was doing a teaching job. I was on the upper pay scale, and that amounts to a mere 36.5 grand a year. It was less than £2 grand a month. You can't buy a house on that. Even when I was with my missus, we couldn't afford to buy a house on that. It was barely enough that we could struggle with the rent. And that's doing a job that supposedly got some sort of importance in terms of the country. It isn't. It's an absolute pittance that the people get paid. And it's not just teaching. I know it's exactly the same in the NHS, because my sister's a nurse. And I know from my brother-in-law that the pay is similar in the police. So all of these public services are not paying enough. Their pay has been frozen since the early 2000s. And unless
the
people
politicians can give themselves a 5% pay rise whenever it suits them, what you get the fuck out.
Not only that. Look at the profit margins that the energy companies are making now.
Yeah,
I missed last year's, but I know that the year before it was like 4 billion when our energy prices were going up for the shareholders. You know what I mean? Ridiculous what they're doing.
Yeah. Talking about the education thing before. Would it? I mean, because a lot of people are now being encouraged to go straight from school to college and then to university. And I do believe, from my time spent at university, that the problem with a lot of the students at university is that they've gone from one cozy environment to another, and they've got no life experience. So my idea, if I ever get elected, would be you're not allowed to go into university until the age of 21, and you can only get into university if you have had a minimum of 2 years life experience living independent of your parents.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Binky, because
life experience makes a hell of a lot of difference to the policy making within government. And a lot of these government officials and all these people who are in charge of us, they've got absolutely zero real life experience. And I say this about the people living in the little villages as well. And this is not to tear them down. This is basically to say, look, this is a reality and it's creeping your way. We need to get ahead of this now. Otherwise, by the time it gets to your little quaint little village, it's going to be too late. So,
yeah, Wiz, I just wanted to mention something about in the chat, Robin in the chat. I wanted to run something by you, see what you think. Robin wants to have a debate. I'm asking him how many debates he's had in the past. And if he wants to have a debate, he can have a debate. But I would suggest that if you're not experienced in debating, it's probably not a good idea to debate somebody that used to teach debating for a living. I think you might want to get a bit of practice in first, because it won't go well. You might want to have a discussion rather than a debate. And I don't think that it would be the right time to do that at the moment. And I'm sure people would agree that what you're really doing is it would be the equivalent of thinking that because you can run fast, you can then go in and compete in a local event and hope to win that race. We're talking a completely different level here, and I don't mean that to come across in the wrong way, but you're asking to do something that's quite a specific thing to do, and you're not experienced in doing it, and that I don't want to put you in that position is what I'm really saying. I hope that's clear to everyone what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
I, for example, I wouldn't want to get into a fight with Wiz, for example. He's 6'6". He's worked on the doors. He's got experience. I'm 5'9". I haven't had a fight since I was about 12. That's the parallel I'm getting at.
There are about eight different.
I'm up for one.
There's about 8 different counters before Wiz can get to you, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. How long ago? Ages ago, but it was against a Muslim, and obviously we had to talk about bloomin' Aisha and her age. I brought stuff up on the screen, said my bit. I mean, some of the stuff that's coming back is just like everyone in that was saying, yeah, Wiz owned him, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, the bloke I was talking to wasn't listening to a word I said. It wasn't taking it into consideration, because all he's doing is looking at whatever it is through his eyes of a Muslim. He's got too much pride. He was getting butthurt because obviously maybe he was with Muhammad at El Zut. And I was like, I don't get this, because I'm literally saying whatever, and all you get, it was different back then. What? He's the greatest example of man of all time. Oh, but it's different back then. No, I've literally just said that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but you're king. A king is not a prophet. That's two different things. And then he's like, yeah, but there was this other king. What did I just say? prophet,
Yeah,
comparing to another prophet, and it was ridiculous. And in my own eyes, without blowing my own trumpet, I think I made him look stupid, absolutely stupid, because some of the stuff, like, Rebecca's free in the Bible, right? Prove it. You can't, because it doesn't say she's free, and it also says she's carrying gallons of water to feed the camels. 3-year-olds don't do that, you absolute muppet.
That's slavery.
What on earth did he mean by it was different back then? You know, I mean, I didn't think their religion, their instruction pamphlet could be changed in any way, shape, or form. So what does it matter if it were different back then?
No, because that's the whole argument. Because they're trying to say, like, oh, it's different back then, and yes, there was a lot of paedophilia, but we, in the essence of Islam, are talking about Muhammad, the greatest example to man of all time. So that's saying whatever he done then, he can do today, because he's the greatest example. No, he's not. He's Jeffrey Epstein, mate.
Even if you don't want to accept Muhammad and Jesus as prophets, even if we're just talking about two men, just two normal men, you look at the life of Jesus and you look at the life of Muhammad, and anybody with any common sense would be going, yeah, Jesus. It's Jesus all the way. This guy Muhammad is my answer to everybody who says, but we used to do that all the time back then. The difference is, yeah, it used to be widely accepted practice back in days, but Christianity learned that were wrong, and we decided to adapt and evolve.
Yeah, exactly the same as comes with marriage.
Muslims refuse to evolve, so it's like until you evolve,
they can't evolve. They can't, because they have to denounce their religion. They can't do that neither, because then they become an apostate. It's lose every single time. You know what I mean?
And the thing that's really difficult is that I think it's so hard for us to understand how God dominates their thinking, and how it is literally everything that they think of starts with God. We can't comprehend that at all, and we can't comprehend how serious that is to them. Like, for example, when they want to touch their holy book, some people insist you have to have gloves on and things like this, and we're thinking, for fuck's sake, it's a bloody book. No one would treat the Bible like that. That's not to say they'd treat it with disrespect. They wouldn't. But
I don't know about the absolute original Bible. I think you might have to wear gloves to touch that one, for fear of it disintegrated into dust or something. I don't know.
You've got to with old books like that, because the oils in your fingers.
That's it.
Same with paintings.
But if you're just talking about a normal common garden, freshly printed Quran, and then they're saying, "Oh, you've got to treat it with kid gloves," basically.
Yeah, but it's not like that to them, though. That's how you think, and that's how we think, because that's how we've been brought up in our culture to think. But in their culture, the way that we think is completely, imagine it from their perspective. They're thinking, well, how don't you understand that this is something holy and it's precious? And so for them, they have a really warped way of thinking, and it's taken me years to understand that.
Stupid people do not understand just how stupid they are, because they're too stupid to realize how
you can't teach stupid, mate. You can't teach stupid.
No, like Mark Twain said, there's no point arguing with somebody who's stupid, because they will only drag you down to their level and beat you.
What is it?
Is accepted because children are sold amongst themselves. Mo, what planet are you on, mate? Why are you even here? You're going to try and defend the paedophile. You're talking rubbish. And one thing I will say, actually, I won't go to, but I'm going to do the facts, right? Muhammad, right? Let's compare him to Jesus, just on two things, because it's just shocking, right? How many miracles did Muhammad do? How many? Bugger all.
He went up to heaven on a winged horse.
How many miracles did Jesus do? Well, there's 37 specific miracles in the New Testament, but you can expand it to about 50 when you're including like the resurrection and the transfiguration. So there you go, Muhammad, no miracles whatsoever. Now you've got your Quran. Muhammad, how important is he? Oh, so important. How many times is Muhammad mentioned in that Quran? 4 times. 4 times. Jesus is mentioned in the King James Version 983 times. In the 4 Gospels, Jesus is mentioned over 600 times. So there you go. Muhammad is a nobody. He's just a dirty warlord, slave-owning, child-raping, homosexual warlord who just needs a good kick in the nuts, and he was actually mentally ill.
And beats and tapes, I completely agree. The only Muhammad that's ever been worth knowing is Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just wanted to mention
Islam
about
Islam should have been wiped out completely at the gates of Vienna.
It should. There's something I want to mention about Islam that doesn't get mentioned enough, which is we hear a lot from people, particularly on the left, about slavery and about racism and about 12 million Africans being sent over to the States. Well, first of all, only 350,000 black Africans were sent to the States, which I know from my studies. England sent 6 million across to the Bahamas, to the Caribbean, and to Guyana. The majority of slaves who were sent on the transatlantic slave were sold by Spanish and Portuguese traders to people in Brazil. That's what we hear about all the time. What we never hear about is that over a period of 1,500 years, from exactly the same people in Africa, who were the ones that were capturing the slaves, by the way. No Europeans went into Africa until the 19th century. But the Islamic trade was taking people from East Africa, from North Africa. They were even sending people as far as Europe, to where they would trade with the Vikings. And they would bring people down into the Ottoman Empire. And obviously at that time, people with blonde hair and blue eyes were particularly prized because of their rarity. And they took, over that time, 17 million slaves. The majority of them were young women and girls who were put into, used as sex slaves. The majority of men that were put into slavery were castrated, and 9 out of 10 people who were castrated died. So it was brutal, but yet we never hear about that because it's Islam. And it continued up until the 20th century. And it's still going on today, let's be honest about it.
Well, and a lot of the slaves were from Africa that were taken over to America. A lot of them, in fact, most of them were purchased from black Africans and Muslims.
Yeah, they were. They were, absolutely were. The Muslims, as Binky's quite rightly said, would have their caravans that would go along North Africa, and they would take Europeans. In fact, also you had there the Barbary pirates, who even managed to sail up to England and took people from villages in Cornwall and places like that. It wasn't uncommon for them to turn up on the coast, like now, snatch people, take them back to North Africa and sell them, or, as Binky also rightly said, in sub-Saharan Africa, what happened there was the different tribal groups were constantly at war with each other, and they would go around and kidnap different groups. Then they would sell them to other more powerful tribes, who would then sell them to the European traders from the big forts that they created that existed along the coastline. And another thing that doesn't get mentioned often enough is the Irish slaves, who were indentured servants, which, for those who don't know, that means you signed a contract for 7 years to go and work. What it really meant was sometimes it was a way to get people out of getting beheaded, or it was a sort of form of prison sentence, or often people were just tricked into it and told, come and work for me and then you'll get a great new life. And they find out actually they've got 7 years of slavery. About 80% of the Irish slaves that were indentured servants didn't make it through their servitude because they were worked to death on the sugar plantations in Jamaica. And you never hear about that. And yet there was a letter from a chap called Richard Lygon, who was a governor on one of the islands, and he wrote back home to England that, and I quote him here, that even the black slaves call the Irish white slaves. They were so low in the hierarchy that the black slaves were above them.
And I don't know, those Irish indulging in cultural appropriation again, eh?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. And the reason why the Africans would have been considered superior to the Irish slaves was because the African slaves were really, really expensive. I mean, we're talking about the equivalent of something like £20,000 in today's money each. And people at that time did not have that money. So slave owners were very, very rare, only a handful. And just to finish off my little rant on slavery, as it is one of my favorite topics to discuss, roughly slavery was worth about 1% of our GDP. Sheep farming was worth far more of our GDP. So when people say the empire was funded on slavery, it's absolute bollocks. The truth is that there was a handful of people who made a lot of money from it. Some of that might have gone into some imperial adventures, but the majority of slavery money went to a small number of people who were then compensated when it ended.
Right, can I just excuse myself to one, I need to go see if this works, and two, I'm gagging for a coffee.
All right.
But here's an idea to contemplate regarding this post that Wiz has put up. Coast Guard rescues 78 migrants attempting to cross Channel and reach UK. Why don't we then, if we have to, obviously because we don't want to see anybody drown, we don't want to see anybody die, why don't we rescue them, bring them to England, and then send them back straight on the English Channel to France?
Yeah.
ECHR.
Oh, fuck them. Sorry.
He raised a really good point, though, and it is a really good point.
I'll be back in a sec.
That we can you just let people drown who are illegal migrants? Is that acceptable in our society that we are going to say we don't care, fuck them, let them drown?
Of course not.
No. So what do we do with them? Well, one option that doesn't it hasn't been mentioned much recently, I don't think, is keep them offshore. Why can't we send them to somewhere like Ascension Island, some Atlantic outcrop where there's hardly anything there? We must have one somewhere in our old empire.
We had this idea, didn't we? The Rwanda plan.
Rwanda would do, yeah. Diego Garcia would be perfect as well. Send them there.
There is something, I don't know if you know, Jake, so I'm going to tell you and the whole world anyway. Basically, they're saying like the Coast Guard rescues them. What they do, the sneaky little weasels, right, is when a boat comes to assist them because they're in trouble and they realise it's a French boat, they don't know we're fine. When the English boat comes, they say, yeah, we need help. Because they know if they get on the French boat, they get sent back to Calais. Whereas if they get on an English boat, well, they're going to come and live like royalty. And what I don't understand, I've said it in numerous live streams, is literally get them off the boat, they walk around, they follow the railings, they get onto that boat, and then you take them straight back to France. France then scoops them all up, take them back to whatever border it was of France that they came over, plonk them back there. That country then grabs them, plonks them back. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a domino effect.
I agree. That makes absolutely perfect sense. The thing that I think is difficult here, and it sounds really easy, and I would agree with this, just put the Navy in the channel, that will sort it out. But really,
they're not going to do.
It's not, they're not going to be able to do anything really. And how are you going to police the entire coastline? It's really, really difficult. You've got to disincentivize them coming here first.
Yeah, so there's already them signs, which I mentioned yesterday on the beach, right, that says no inflatables, or to be used as a life preserve, something like that. You know what I mean? We'll find them £1 billion per dinghy that comes across.
I know where we can send them. I've got the perfect place for them, and I forget what it's called, but I'm sure someone can look it up.
Don't you dare say Nottingham.
No. There's an island. I think it's off the coast of Scotland that they poisoned with anthrax and tested it. Send them there. I'm sure it's safe now. It's probably not contaminated these days.
There's a test.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because you can't, for example, shoot that dinghy and kill all of those people. As much as you might think that's a good idea, morally, a country can't just do.
Yeah,
not a civilized country, not a civilized country. Anyway, they'd probably do the same. They'd probably do that.
They would.
No problem. Probably even send a missile over to you to get rid of your drone.
Right. They would absolutely be able to do it.
Yeah.
Slim's got it. Good man. Yeah, send them to Brunard.
I did have an idea, but it'd have to be a covert thing. So I don't know whether or not it's useful to mention it on the internet. But do you know hydrogen, oxygen electrolysis. So basically, you know, you have a copper pipe. Well, you have 2 electrodes going down, right?
Yep.
And an upside down drum. Okay. Now you put a battery inside it, right, and a relay, and all it does is just switch that on. It's completely inert when you first put it into the sea. You fill it full of seawater, right, and then as it produces hydrogen and oxygen inside it, it actually comes up to the surface. Yeah. And when this relay clicks off, there's a little spark. Fucking boom. Yeah.
Well,
but the reason it'd have to be covert is because you need someone to do it. You said that. I don't know why I'm whispering, because I'm telling the whole world this now. Right, because it was just an idea that I had, right? But all you need to do is just film one of them and then say, right, this is tuned to go for, right, like with little drone motors or something, you know, to move towards the sound of an high-pitched boat motor, such as what they've got on their dinghies, you see. And then then if they just say a couple of them going off, honestly, literally, it would be like a big seawall that would go up.
It would certainly be spectacular, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. You just film that, and then you put it on TikTok, and then they all see it and think, and then you say, we've got all these all over the place. You know, we've got this 10-mile border, at the 10-mile border, just off the English Channel or whatever. You know what I mean?
But I think that really none of them should ever be able to set foot on British soil whilst they're being sorted and processed.
No,
because
true.
The majority of them aren't telling the truth.
Yeah.
So we need to disincentivize them from actually coming here in the first place. So how do we do that? Well, we've just got to stop giving them the things that they're being given, and there's no reason why they should be. I mean, why are we spending 330 billion on welfare and only 53 billion on our defence? It's absolutely ludicrous.
Of course,
those people should not be coming here and expecting to be given a lifestyle from people that work hard for this country. It's not fair on the people who are here, and the government are letting this country down. And as far as I'm concerned, it is a betrayal. And I agree with Binky, they have lost their legitimacy. They don't deserve to have the rule that they currently have. And what we have to work out as a nation is, what do we actually believe in as a nation, and what direction do we want our country to go in, and then try and sort something out from that. We can't turn back to 1997, much as we'd all like to. We can't do that. What we've got to do is work with what is here, and we have to be realistic about what we can and can't do. And can we make a radical change to this country? Yes. But is it going to happen overnight? Probably not, if we look at history.
Well, I wonder if there's a legal standing where you could have like small navy boats or what, I don't know, but a certain size. But as and when you see these dinghies come in, one of these smaller boats can go up, tie themselves to this dinghy, and then tow them all the way back to France.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Or we import those sharks and put them into the channel. That will stop them.
Yep, because as soon as the word gets out, you know, certain ideas, when they get out, they'll be like, well, there's no point paying, because they're literally going to bring us straight back. They're not going to do it. They're not going to be so quick. And anyone that does do it will probably be seriously desperate, maybe. And I don't know, they're going to start saying, oh, you know, if I go back there, I'm dead. You're like, but what are you on about? It's France. It's France,
but
mate.
How are they getting to France?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I read somewhere that what happens with some of them is that they enter Turkey through places like Syria and shitholes.
I've heard Turkey.
They go from Turkey through Europe to France, and then they come to England from there. So how are they getting into Turkey is what I want to know, and who's sending them there. Because it's obviously there's obviously coordination here. This isn't just happening by chance.
No, I mean what they're paying for their $5,000 or $3,000, is that all of it? You know, to get from wherever. But Turkey, but Turkey, they could live there. It's an Islamic state. They'd be happy as poo, won't they?
Yeah,
but it's not the land of milk and honey, is it?
And they're not that they would get from here. So I guess that would make more sense for them. They want the money. They don't care about the religion.
I can assure you, there's no benefits over in Turkey like what they've got here. I saw people wandering around, well, not wandering around, but wheeling themselves around with you know, just on like a little truck with little caster wheels underneath it, you know, using their hands because they've got both the legs were missing, probably from diabetes or stepping on a mine. I don't know, But they were doing that, and they had a begging bowl out because there's no. That's how that's the idea of benefit system over there.
Now, in 50 years, when people look back at this period in time, what are they going to say? That's what we should be thinking about. Are they going to laugh at it as just this happened to us and we were cowards, or are people going to look back and see this as a period of tyranny when people couldn't do anything, or are they? Is this a moment of genuine transition that's going to lead to something better? Because we've obviously had a massive social experiment has taken place.
Yeah, we've had a skinful of it, mate.
We need a change in direction. But
I don't think it was a social experiment. I think it was planned to increase profit margins for particular big corporations.
I would go along with that.
I mean, look at it this way: you've got you've got all these industries that have been decimated in Britain over the last few years, a few decades. You've got an increasingly unemployed indigenous population, and all they're asking for is a decent wage, job security, and a decent place to live, a decent country to live in. And because that costs a little bit, maybe a few £1 million a year more than what it costs to import a shitload of people that are going to work for £5 an hour rather than £10 an hour for indigenous. They're going with we'll just bring in a lot of
yeah, you're right. What they've done is they've tried to plug a gap between the falling birth rates, and they think that by bringing in migrants, because it temporarily raises the GDP, that makes it look like the country is growing. And that's the model that they're trying to stick to, and they want to keep it stable, because if they change it, they're worried the entire economy will collapse. But at the same time,
I like the change in language online regarding the GDP thing. I've seen it a lot. The response to that is people have been posting up per capita. What's per capita? Look at per capita. Never mind GDP. Look at per capita. Yeah, people are posting that up, and as soon as people have started posting that up, all them pro GDP people put, oh, look at the GDP. They're all gone really, really quiet because, like you said, the reality of it is we're becoming poorer, but the GDP's going up.
Yeah, and that means absolutely fuck all. It means that when they say GDP's gone up, what they really mean is there's more migrants here. Think of it in that way. But there's also another aspect, and again, I would agree with Binky here about corporations, is I noticed over the past few months that this sounds a bit tinfoil hat, but bear with me. There's not just our physical selves that we are now. There's also a digital self which exists online. And that digital self exists in different fragments depending on the platform that you're on. We do not control this digital identity, and it is being used to make money out of us. And that is something that I think is absolutely criminal. And I really think we need a digital bill of rights.
This is a moment to get your sponsoring, Wiz, and get some money. Get sponsored by Incogni and NordVPN. Incogni to get rid of your digital footprint, and NordVPN to stop them stop the police tracing your address and knowing where you live. Mind you, I've already given them details out openly. So
NordVPN is very, very good.
For those who may be concerned in the chat who are listening to this, Incogni and NordVPN.
Yeah, the things other services are available as well.
Yeah, but the thing I've always found with any VPN that I've used, it always slows down your internet traffic. So good luck with that. It always shows us. It shows us slideshows now as videos that's supposed to be a video, but they turn out as slideshow because his internet's crap. So whether or not he's going to be able to do anything with a VPN, I doubt very much.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. I've just been sat here watching for the last 15 minutes. I do apologise, but I keep wondering whether Wiz has frozen in time or not. He just because you can sit there in the exact same spot for 15, 20 minutes, and he's not.
Yeah, he uses his nose on his nose on his microphone. Go on.
Which is, I wonder what all of you think of this. That there seems to be a growing thought among certain people that this war with Israel, with Iran, is actually Israel's war, that they've got the US to support, and that actually they might have underestimated the Iranian forces. Do you think that there's any truth to that? Or do you think that the US has got the upper hand and is just blowing?
I think that's probably Iranian propaganda, because the internet will be rife with it. That's why so much anti-Semitism is coming out now, because people are falling for the Iranian propaganda tool arm thing of it all. That's what I think.
Would you put it past Israel to be able to stage a campaign like that, though, and sort of hoodwink the US into joining them?
No,
I
don't think, as I don't know much about Israeli politics, but and the Jewish people, but I don't believe, although every government is capable of false flag operations. I don't think
it could be. It could even be that America. I'd heard somewhere that America could have told Israel to go and strike certain places, right, and then like make out that it were Israel's fault, as some kind of proxy false flag thing.
With regards to the IRGC in Iran, I won't say the Iranians, because it's the IRGC.
Yeah. That's obviously what
Islamic
regime.
They since their inception, they have been funding terror groups, proxies across the entire globe. More specifically and more deadly is the funding of Hamas.
Yes.
Although yes, we have been we were giving Hamas money, because that was on the condition that it was used for humanitarian aid and efforts for the Gaza people.
Israel.
So on that one, when people say, "Oh, but we funded Hamas," no, Israel and us and the West gave Hamas. I think we've given Hamas, the Gazans, more money in the last few decades than we gave Germany after World War II.
We shouldn't have given them a fucking penny, in my opinion. They don't deserve a single penny.
Yeah, this whole thing with the IRGC, Israel's dragged us into another war. No, the IRGC has been at war with us for decades. The Muslim Brotherhood, they've infiltrated our universities, our political parties. They've been sending billions of dollars into our economy to build mosques, to build, all this Islamic infrastructure, and to undermine the Western enlightened civilization. So to say that Israel dragged us into this war with Iran, I say no. We have finally got a president in the United States who has basically said, enough with this shit. We're not sending the IRGC billions of pounds in hard cash on fucking cargo planes anymore. We know that they're carrying on refining the nuclear material, not for civilian use, which would be fine if you're building nuclear power plants and all that.
Shouldn't go over 5% purity.
We know that they're doing this. We know what they've been doing, and we know and it became more of an issue after October 7th. Not because of Jews, but because of what the end result was going to be on a massive scale. Because remember, what a lot of people don't realize is that the IRGC, Hezbollah, and Hamas were coordinating between all three to make that attack on October 7th. They were going to do it on, I think, a little bit later, but Hamas jumped the gun. Thank fuck they did.
Because that this is a religious war.
From a non-religious minded person, I would say even if it's not a religious, it's somewhat more serious than a religious war. It's an existential war.
Either way round.
It's been an ongoing war since the foundation of Islam. Islam has had all these centuries to build a thrive. Look at the time spent in the Islamic world. Compare it to the time spent in the Judeo-Christian world, and look how we put men on the fucking moon.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Either way, though, Jake, what you got to what you got to remember also is that any religious war from an Islamic point of view is also a governmental war, because it's politics and religion.
The Muslims
I mean?
hate the fact. The Muslims hate the fact that the King's Hoosiers, Hoosiers, the Polish Brigade, came in and saved the forces in Vienna. The Muslims, the leaders, they've been taught since then. They absolutely hate the fact that they lost that battle. They hate the fact that the Ottoman Empire was destroyed, and they've been hell bent on revenge ever since.
And also, once they've declared that a territory is theirs, they consider it theirs as all time, which is why it was worrying that they did what they did in Trafalgar Square, because they now see that as their territory. But what I'm getting at really with the question is I suppose really I'm saying, is religion an unavoidable part of this conflict? So I'm going to change it slightly now. What do you think that the war is really about at the moment?
Well, it's Iran wanting control, or Islam wanting control, and take the only democratic part of the Middle East away from the Middle East.
Okay, let's just pause there for a second so we can think about these ideas. So, Richard, that's a pretty good way of putting it forward. What's wrong with that way of thinking from their perspective?
From the Iranians' perspective?
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with it?
I'm willing to learn.
But surely, that to them, that would seem perfectly reasonable and justifiable, wouldn't it?
I suppose so, yeah. But then again, you should never really mix politics and religion, and Islam is a mix of politics and religion. Therefore, no wonder they're constantly wanting to beat everybody up.
You got the House of War and the House. Is it the House of Peace, the House of War in Islam or something?
So, would I be right in thinking in that what you're really saying is then that it's actually about Islamic expansion and controlling Islamic expansion?
Oh yeah. Because obviously Israel is a threat.
Full stop.
Especially with Israel being a fan of the Western world, especially America. Obviously and also it's said in the book, isn't it? Take down the Saturday prayers and then the Sunday prayers, which is basically the Jews and then the Christians. That's common knowledge, I think.
As much as the Muslims,
and that's what it's all about. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not about anything else. It's about their Quran. They're indoctrinated. Kill the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. Kill the Jews, then the Christians. So what are they doing? The best part, they got to kill the Jews. So it's all about wiping the Jews out. That's all they want to do. And if Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon, where's it going? Straight on top of Israel. Why?
Do you think that it is more about protecting Israel than it is about containing Islamic expansion?
No. Yes, and no.
This war?
Yeah, this war.
What do you mean by
Well, do you think that that America are there only to protect Israel from this potential nuclear attack, or do you think that the US is there to stop Islamic expansion in the area?
Islam cannot have a nuclear weapon.
I think very close to a degree it has to be about protecting Israel, because they are at risk regardless. Because how many wars they had? They had about 6 or 7 Islamic countries attacking them, and they still managed to win somehow. So don't tell me that they haven't got God on their side. But America isn't stupid, and they were, because Joe Biden was like, after Trump saying, right, Iran, no money, they're screwed. They had nothing. And then Joe Biden comes in and goes, oh, let's give them like 1.8 billion, and they can send that all out for their proxy wars. And that's going to give Hamas money to attack them on October the 7th. And then Trump's like, hang on a minute, we need to stop this. So that threat is always there. So I think if America acting as they did, it is to prevent anything in the future. And if they didn't do it, there would definitely be more attacks in the future.
And I would say
the only reason.
Sorry, let Jake speak. Sorry.
I would say, just to extend that idea there, if you're the United States at the moment, you're part of the Trump administration, and you're looking at NATO, how do you think Trump might be feeling about NATO at the moment, considering he's berated them in the past for not paying enough? He's found that people aren't willing to step up and help him. What do you think his thoughts and his team's thoughts will be about NATO at the moment?
They've already decided.
He was right. I mean, what are NATO doing now? What are NATO actually doing right now?
I believe they've submitted and they're going to
So
send
he's
something.
right.
Yeah, but that's
right,
basically after the big bit's done.
Well, what if he walks away from NATO?
Well, he already is doing. He's already set up.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
He's already
what is NATO?
Yeah,
it's
but
just
what I'm getting at, though, is this is where I think the part of the core problem is that because of the Second World War and not wanting to repeat that or the First World War ever again, and knowing that we've got the backing of the greatest superpower in the world, Europe has thought, oh, fuck this, we're safe now. No one's ever going to have another world war again. We won't spend our money on our defence. Instead, we'll open our borders and we'll welcome people in. And then when it gets to a point where we're thinking, shit, we haven't got any fucking guns now, we haven't got an army now, and we need one. And the only person that's going to help you out or in a position to help you out is America. And we're not doing anything to help them at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, Starmer's doing everything to try and stop them. He is fucking with this country in a bad way. And if it turns to shit, we're going to need the Americans to come and bail us out. And that means we're then going to be in debt to them again.
Yeah, what would happen in a situation like that? And I'm going to refer to Slim Yin in chat about petrodollar. Yeah. I don't think primarily that this war with the IRGC is about the oil and the gas. However, anybody with any sane mind doing military strategy would be looking at what you can benefit from the outcome of a conflict. What's in it for you? Yeah. And of course, Trump is a money man. He's a businessman. And he's also the leader of the country. So what's he going to focus more on? Not saying that he focuses on the nuclear problem any less, but he's focusing more on securing the oil and the gas. I mean, look at is it Carg Island? He's taken Carg Island. Yeah. He's now basically telling everybody in regions, saying, "Well, you've turned your backs on us." Yeah. And now we're taking out this threat that's in the Strait of Hormuz. Well, good luck to you, because when the Iranians finally get their country back and the Shah is back in his rightful place, and the people have got their country back and they are free to live in a free country, they're going to be out. We're going to be their closest friends, so we're going to be able to discuss with them how to make more money for the country, and being America, being the ones who didn't shy away, we're going to get the best deal out of it.
Yeah, someone mentioned
it's a win-win for America, and unfortunately, and I've mentioned this on a few times on X. I keep going on and apologising to the Iranian people, saying, "Look, this is not the British people. This is our government." And like you were saying about this, the European thing, they've now realised that this Islamification is becoming a problem. So if you notice, quite a lot of them, the leaders, are appeasing the Muslims just so they've got enough time to make as much money as they can, so that when they leave office, they can fuck off elsewhere to
Someone just mentioned in chat, right? They just said NATO are all about defence, not offence. Now, how can you say that the Iranians saying we're going to nuke, America? How can you say that that's not a defensive strategy? What do you want to do? Do you want to wait for nukes to start coming down and then start on the defensive?
That's true. Yeah, but just put something in perspective here, though. Sorry, just really quick, Wiz. So that's why.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
Just the fact that this statistic's really, really important. That in this country, our army is about 73,000 men. There are 4 million Muslims and more coming every single day. Just think about that for a second. That's frightening.
The other reason why Starmer has not committed us to the IRGC fight, and Fastjet Performance mentioned this earlier on the Lotus Eaters podcast. Something about it was going on about after World War One. We didn't initially get into World War II because we didn't have the manpower, we didn't have the fighting force. Yeah. It took us until the time that we got into the fight to build up that manpower so we could put up a decent fight. And I think that's what's happening now with Starmer from Fastjet's point of view, is maybe Starmer's not so much being in I'm not justifying Starmer. I think he's but I think what he's doing is realizing we haven't got the manpower to get involved in the initial stage of a conflict that potentially could go horribly wrong. We wouldn't have the manpower to sustain it. So what we're going to do instead is let those who have got the manpower and the forces to do the initial weakening of the regime, and then we can come in once we've got the manpower built up to a substantial enough level to be able to come in and then support.
And when the armies are obviously, checked out, the makeup's all right and all that lot.
Yeah, well,
make sure that's all right.
That's what we're on about. It's like we're not building them reserves that we should be.
Yeah, but two things you got to consider. One, what is Trump doing in America? Drill, baby, drill. How many times has he said we got enough oil here? We're fine. So does he want Iran's oil? Probably not.
I've got a question for you.
Sorry, mate. Point two, Israel is helping America free Iran.
Yeah.
Once Iran is free, they will look at Israel and say, you help liberate us. Oh, look, they're not going to be looking to kill the Jews.
And Iranian citizens are all westernized, so they're all great, you know what I mean? Just like
I am so ashamed of the British government being British right now with our government. It's because I know full well that once the people of Iran have got their country back, if we maintained a support for them and started getting rid of arresting IRGC members that are living in the United Kingdom, taking all their assets and freezing all their assets and basically treating them like the terrorists that they are.
Well,
the trade agreements and our economy would go through the roof once the Iranian people have got back into their country.
We could use their assets in order to afford to ship them all back to where they come from.
Plus, we could send our own educated people over to work with them and say, this is how we did it, and this is how we can show you how to bypass all this bullshit and get to that technology without having to go through the Industrial Revolution. Here's what we've learned as the British. How about you? There you go. There, you can have that. This is how you build this.
How about a radical proposal? See what you think of this instead.
No, I'm not going to make
you. No, that's such a shame. What if Trump says he effectively appreciates that our country is fucked and there's nothing we can do about it? He comes in with an offer and he says the US is going to buy the UK and we're going to make it 51st American state. Do you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing?
On one condition.
Go on.
Left and moan.
You come in and help us get rid of this leftist Islamist Fabian bullshit and help us.
That's the deal.
That'd have to be a thing, yeah.
No, that's the deal, Binky. The deal is that they're going to come in, they're going to get rid of the government and put in place a new government, and they're going to put the American system in place, and we then have all American rights.
No.
I'd be up for the idea of that. However, I would like, and I'm sure Donald Trump and the American people would appreciate this as well. I would put in a caveat there to say that we reserve the right at any time, at any point. We retain creative license over our nation. We retain our independence. However, any decisions made about going into a conflict and stuff, we can refer to you and see whether it's a good idea that's going to benefit us both.
Okay, Wiz, you categorically said no.
Yep.
Why? Why are you so against the idea of it?
Because we are who we are. This is our country, regardless. If we're in shit, we get out the shit. I mean, if you're in shit, why are you in shit? Oh yeah, we put ourselves in the shit. So we can't run and suddenly be another part of a state. And I certainly don't want all this amendment crap. And we've got the right to bear arms. Jesus Christ, mate.
Yeah, and
I want to be able to go into my garden on a Sunday and shoot off a few rounds of fucking 50 caliber.
Yeah, but that means in Islam, that means your next door neighbour can't. Well, no, not even your next door neighbour. The bloke living all the way up the top of the street can snipe you out if he fancied it.
It does.
But don't forget, this is United Kingdom. Oh, we're British and we're English. Well, what happens for our history when this date happens and all of a sudden we're part of America? Like, who are we? What are we?
Yeah,
well, we're nothing now. It's gone.
That would be the end of us. You're right.
Exactly. So
right.
Any offer like that, you'll be like, yeah, regardless of the crap we're in, we need to get ourselves out of it, back off. Like, we're a country, mate. We're not here to be bought. We're not on the shop window.
That was just to keep the thought experiment going a little bit longer. What if we were to say that the way things are looking now, if migration carries on the way it is, then the English people are going to vanish into oblivion. So it's either a choice between that death or you become American.
Well, it's simple, become American.
We literally have to stop that death. Even if it means some of us joining the army, if you're fit enough. And if that's civil war, whatever, I don't know. But don't forget, regardless, this is the United Kingdom, the history we got. We got people that fought wars for this place. Are we just going to say, sorry, I know you died for this place, but we're just giving it away? Have it? No. When you say we've got a choice between it going to America or these people, like the illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, have the point to take over this country, then I'm sorry, no, like, give your head a slap. We're going to fight them. That will not happen. So the option of being that or American shouldn't be on the table. We should be stopping everything at our front doorstep or at our borders and say, no, this is United Kingdom. This is our history. I'm standing here like all my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-grandfather. I'm stood here for them to defend this country. You ain't just walking in and going, oh, I'll get a free hotel.
I think what we ought to do is go on.
Which is, I absolutely agree with everything that you've just said. And I would say that for anyone that doubts that, just look around your town centre, look at the war memorials that are there, and don't just walk past it. Think what they've done for your country. Now, the question to you then, Wiz, is, as we all agree with that, as we'll say that we're the public here, why isn't that happening? Why isn't our government actually doing that? Because surely that would be...
They are so far out of touch of the public, the people like you and I. They probably never in their life read the Quran. Anyone who wants to talk to them about Islam, they're being called Islamophobic. So there's literally no discussion. So basically, when you say that ignorance is no excuse, that's going to be their excuse. Pure ignorance.
They have got people that... They have got people in government who have read the Quran, and what they've done with them, they've made them presidents of Islamophobia rules. Completely the wrong idea.
This hypothetical scenario about America taking Britain is already happening, and I'll tell you exactly where it's happening and what the outcome is going to be. I don't think the United States will ever want to turn this into America or a 51st state, and I'll tell you why. Look at what's happening in Iran right now. We are going. The Americans and the Israelis are helping to destroy or weaken the IRGC to a point where the people can then be in a better position to fight back and get their country back. Yeah. Now, once that's happened and the Shah's back and they've got the parliament and they've got peace established in Iran, America's not going to then turn around and say, "Oh, you're going to be a part of the United States now." What they're going to do, and this is what the hypothetical is happening here in the UK is that we would ask the Americans to come in and do to us what they're doing to the IRGC, do it to the leftist and the Islamists here, help us get us country back. We still maintain our sovereignty as a nation. However, the difference is we're not going to bow down to America's idea of us being part of their state. However, we will any trade that we want to engage with, we'll give the United States first refusal. And that's what's going to happen in Iran. Once the people have got the country back, America's going to get first refusal on any oil deals, any gas deals, any trade deals, any infrastructure rebuilding deals. That's all going to be contracted out to America. And that is exactly what would happen. It's most likely will happen at some point if we don't get rid of this lefty Islamist crap here, is that somebody like America will come in, help us out. We can, whatever government or Sharia council's in charge here, and then we won't need America to give us weapons. We'll just talk to the Irish, because the Irish have still got blooming thousands and thousands of weapons and stuff buried all across Northern Ireland, haven't they? So we'll just ask them, look, help us out. They give us weapons, and then
you see, I mean, at the moment we're thinking about America as it is at the moment under a right-leaning, what they call Republican government, and it's absolutely, fine and dandy and great. That's the kind of thing we want for the country. But if they were to get another Democrat government in, then we're going to be straight out shitter again, aren't we?
Yeah, they just.
But we need to.
The United Kingdom will turn the United Kingdom to a caliphate for you. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but we do need to repair the damage that's been done by this government with with the special relationship that we had.
I think that's going to be
obviously
easily.
Yeah.
Well,
the Americans
about
where
we understand this. That special relationship isn't something that they are just saying. If you look back across history, obviously America was a British colony first of all. Then during the Civil War, the South tried to gain support from Britain, and they were in contact with the British government. So that relationship that we've had with America isn't something that's new and come about from the First and the Second World War. It has always been there ever since its inception, because really we are the father of America.
Yeah, they're basically island residents, aren't they, really?
And spiritually as well.
Yeah.
The United Kingdom,
a lot of the original settlers, many of the original settlers, like the founding fathers, were Puritans from East Anglia. So there's a connection, obviously, for me, being an East Anglian with that going on there. But obviously later they then had the mass migration that changed the face of America. But when it was our colony, we only had 13 states. We essentially only had the East Coast, basically. We didn't have the whole thing at that point. But we've always had a special relationship. And I think that really the time that it was tested the most is probably the Suez Crisis in the 50s. I think it was 59, maybe, something like that. Where, if you don't know what happened there, basically, we wanted to take the Suez Canal from Egypt, and we went in with Israel to attack them, and America told us no, and that if we didn't get out, they would withdraw all of their financial support for us. And that was really the final act of the British Empire, and it ended us in humiliation. And ever since then, we've been their lapdogs. But they are vital to us. We cannot afford to fuck up that relationship.
Yeah, the only reason why we are America's lapdogs in that regard is like, well, you look at how the entire Arab world works. Any sign of appeasement or a diplomacy is seen as it's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
And the reason why the Islamic world is shitting bricks now is because you've got somebody like Donald Trump, who's basically coming and going, I'm not going to be weak anymore. Fuck you. This is how it's getting done, and you're going to fucking deal with it. And this is why we will be respected and honoured by America if we manage to get rid of our government and to get a strong leader in going, no, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. We can work with that. And Trump would work with that. I bet that meeting with Starmer and Trump, Starmer were just giving it all this, blah, 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 all the weak stuff. And Trump will probably sat there looking at him thinking, you fucking dickhead, I could walk over your country right now and nobody'd even bat an eyelid.
I think he tore a grip off him myself. I think he absolutely tore him to pieces.
I'd love to have been a fly in that.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too. Are you saying
how he deals with idiots in public?
Let me just get this right here, though, because I think this is a really, really good point that you're bringing up here. Are you saying that the UK and Europe essentially have sort of feminized their governments and they need to be more masculine and stand up against things? Would that be a fair estimation?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think what we've allowed ourselves to do, and if you look at the family circuit as well, you look at the rise in this trans ideology and all that, it's because parents over the last 30, 40 years, and I remember it specifically at one point, and they brought in a law that said, and it was in schools, because at school, yes. I remember getting the slipper. I remember getting the slipper across the back of the hand by my head teacher a few times. The cane as well. You had to put both hands out and you get cane.
Me too.
And they brought in a law saying that teachers are no longer use that kind of punishment on kids.
One week after I got corporal punishment. 1 week after I got caught, and that was the only time I ever got caught for being late for school.
If you look at statistically, I've not looked at this, but I would put money on. The moment that parents and teachers were told that you're not allowed to give your kid a clip round here if they're misbehaving,
actually, let me give an example. I'll give an example here, though, where Binky's correct. The last school I was working in one of the last lessons I ever did, some girl had her phone out. And I said to her, put that away or I'll have to take it off you. She carried on fucking about with it. I said, give it here. And she said, no, fuck off.
What are you going to do about it?
I said, no, hand it over. She dials her mother's number and is going, Mum, he's trying to take my fucking phone off me.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
If that were my kid and daughter rang me, I'd say, look, put teacher on phone.
Yeah.
Right. You have my permission to take the phone off her, and you also have my permission to give her a clip round here as well.
Well said. And I completely agree with you. But
I agree.
That isn't what has happened.
Binky's endorsing child abuse.
No, I think that what he was endorsing there is responsible, sensible parenting, and I wish that more people did it, because he's right. Once you took away that corporal punishment, you took away the threat of force in schools, and once you take that force away, they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what's happened with the governments in Europe. They've this DEI stuff. It's pampering way too much to the spare the rod mentality.
Yes,
and it's like, look, why are these people in positions of office who've had more money given to them for their education alone than I've seen in my entire life, from grafting my ass off and getting covered in shit every day. And they're stood there saying that it's like, for millions of years, this is how we've dealt with ourselves and grown as
See, when I were at school, if I were in that same position there, obviously we didn't have mobile phones then, but if I were in the same position there, that would have been my mum's stance, you know what I mean? In fact, my mum introduced me into school and said this to the end: if ever is out of order, just give him a clip round tab. You know what I mean? That way. And I remember in the last couple of years of comprehensive school, so my last school, I remember kids saying, "Oh yeah, well, what are they going to do about it? If I do this, that, and other, what are they going to do about it? I'll just report them to Childline or something like that, you know, or I'd just ring my mum up." And then you had tales of their fathers coming in, like, and then chuffing, telling teacher off. And I thought to myself,
what's that famous?
That can't be right.
Famous Indian comedian. He basically goes on about how his kids got a white friend. And he comes round to house, and kids are messing around in bedroom. And father comes in and tells his Indian kid, "Stop dicking around. Get your room tidied up. Get your homework done." And Indian kid's like, "Yes, dad, sort it out." And then dad goes out, and white kid's like, "You don't let your dad talk to you like that. What you've got rights and this and over. If he's abusing you, full child line. Threaten the phone child line."
Not only that, but
the Indian kid, a few days later, he's getting told off by his dad, and he gets a clip round here, and his Indian kid turns round to someone and says, "Oh, I'm gonna phone Childline," and instead of father backing down, he goes, "You better get to that phone before I get to my blooming my slippers, because one of us is gonna get hurt real bad." I forget his name. Somebody's going to get hurt real bad with the catch line to it. And
the thing is, though, for us, and this is, I think, an important moment of the transition of it for us, because it came in just at right at the beginning of our school careers. We knew what that meant, so we didn't fuck about with teachers. If they said it, you did it.
Yeah.
And once you got to the mid-90s, that then started to tail off. And so when I first started in 2003, there was still a bit of that respect that was still there. But certainly by the time I finished in 2016, it was much, much less. You would have kids would say things like, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?" Not many, granted. And I will say that most kids that I have taught, and there are hundreds, are good. There's only a very small minority that I would say were kids that were really quite troubled.
Even if you shout at a kid nowadays, even if you're an authority figure like a teacher or something, they don't even shout at kids, do they? So the kids don't even learn. The kids don't even learn. Yeah, and then the kids don't learn any embarrassment. You know what I mean? That was the main thing at school was embarrassment. You'd go red, you know what I mean? Nothing, it didn't really hurt you, whatever punishment you got. But you'd feel embarrassed, you'd go red, and then you'd learn about embarrassment. And now you've got kids going around on TikTok just wheeling the bikes through chuffing soup and stuff.
I served a few years in prison not so long back, unfortunately. Not my proudest point in life.
Yeah, things happen though.
But in order to what they call it is to progress to release, because my offence was violence based, I had to do what's called a course called Resolve.
Yeah,
is it Resolve? Similar to the anger management, Calm, controlling anger, learning to manage. They changed it to Resolve and incorporated Calm into it, and they basically went by the policy of raising your voice and being aggressive with your voice is considered a form of violence. And it's like, whoa, no, I don't. And this is where we've gone wrong. We're not allowed to sit there and to express anger is it's cathartic. When
let's put that into context here. So this is what they're teaching prisoners.
Yeah, this is one of the, and what do you remember? I don't know if you know much about the prison system. They brought in a policy a few years back called.
I'd like to know more about it.
They brought in a few years ago a thing called PPI, where basically if you got a PPI sentence, you'd serve the allotted time inside, but then you'd only be able to be released at a probation hearing. So I met a lad in there who was serving 5 years, but he'd been in 15 years because he had a few learning difficulties.
Yeah.
And the probation basically just wrote him off and said, you know, he's not fit to be released at this time. So for a 5-year sentence, he did 15 years in prison under this PPI scheme. And once you're on the, is it, I'm sure it's PPI. Once you're on PPI, when you're released, normal prisoners, when you release, you serve a certain amount of time in prison and then a certain amount of time on what they call license.
Right.
Which basically means you're on probation for however long. Like
but for the remainder of your sentence, it would be if you do anything wrong, you go back to prison.
You're recalled to prison and you serve your full sentence in prison. And I forgot where I was going with that now. PPI. Remind me again. My brain's just.
I'm just thinking where we were going with it. Then we were going about teaching people in prison about raising.
This is it. Sorry, yeah. And this course. What happened was I were eligible for what they call Cat D, progression from Cat C to Cat D, which is open prisons. After a certain amount of time in Cat C, I were eligible for Cat D. But I had to do this Resolve course in order to progress. and I couldn't progress to Cat D until I'd done this resolve course.
Right.
And what were happening was, because they recently, this were back in 2018, 2019, and around a couple of years before that, they abolished the PPI because it was considered against human rights, which is fair enough. I mean, you know, under PPI, you were on license for life, which means if you did a 5-year sentence on a PPI, and then 20 years later you got pulled over, you got into a bar fight or something and ended up punching somebody, you could be recalled to prison for the rest of your life just for that.
So it's like a sentence for life, really. Then,
pretty much, yeah.
It's only a quick one. It's only a quick one, guys. I've got to get one. Getting hungry, starting to feel sick because of my diabeticness. All right, I'll see you soon.
All right, yeah,
mate.
take
it easy, mate.
All right, cheers, lads. See you. Cheers, chat. Bye.
See you soon.
See you, mate.
So what you're getting at then, Binky, is that to put this into perspective and to see it as an absurdity. So you're in prison for a violent offence. Doesn't matter why that happened. We're not interested. We're not judging you. That's what happened.
No, I'm open to talk about it at some point. I don't want to take it because we're supposed to be talking about. I mean,
I would love to know about.
If I hijacked your stream again, I do apologise.
Not at all.
It's all good, mate. It's all
I
good.
would really like to hear what it's like in prison because my only experience is.
Well, this is.
I went for a job once at prison, so I taught a lesson in there. So that's my experience. And the first thing that happened was I went to teach them the lesson, and this was at Rochester, the original Borstal, and I went to this class of 4 people or whatever. I said, right, this is what we're doing today. And this lad went, I couldn't give a fuck. I'm going home next week. And I thought, do I really want to do a job that's going to be like this? Am I going to be able to get through to anyone doing this? And I thought, no.
You are better off if you're going to do a job in teaching. You are going to find it more fulfilling, even though it might seem counterproductive. You'd find it more fulfilling and more beneficial to the to yourself and the prisoners if you were educating long-term to life prisoners. You know, because Cat A is where you go. I think if you get a 10-year plus sentence, you go into Cat A.
These were all on remand.
You're sorry?
They were all on remand at Borstal.
Oh yeah, remand. Nobody cares if you're on remand. It's like fuck yeah. I might be out in 6 weeks. I might be doing 10-year sentence. So
exactly. I thought I don't want to do this
because I were on remand in Armley in Leeds for flipping it. I think from May to August, and it was chaos. To be fair, I thoroughly enjoyed prison. You know, not at the time. It was like not being able to do what I want and go out to the pub and all that. It were being locked up with a load of people I don't even know. Yeah. You know, that was daunting. But overall, I benefited from the experience more than it hindered me. I think.
Really.
But this whole PPI, going back to this whole PPI thing, the reason why my release were delayed were because a few years before, I think it was 2016, 2017, they abolished PPI and made it illegal. So everybody on a PPI sentence in prison now had, in order for them to progress to Cat D and to get released, they had to do this resolve course.
Right.
And so suddenly the waiting list went from being 6 months to 3 to 5 years to get unresolved because they wanted to get these PPI prisoners out first. So they were essentially jumping the queue. And to be fair, it didn't really bother me as much as it would. I could understand it would bother some because these lads I were with were wanting to get home back to the families and stuff, and then suddenly a bunch of people are coming in and jumping queue. It's like, what the fuck?
Well,
they want the staff or the management to be able to do it properly.
Maybe we could, if Wiz is up for it, maybe we could have a talk about what we should do with prisons, how we could improve things, because it's obviously shit at the minute. You know, what things would work.
Oh, things got far worse. I got out just before they imposed the smoking ban. Just before I got out in 2019, you get your tobacco, you get half-ounce Golden Virginia on your canteen, and you used to be able to trade with your roll-ups for stuff, or you burn, they called it, your tobacco. And just as I moved to Cat D at Hatfield, the price of a half ounce of tobacco went up to £250.
Fucking hell!
Because
I thought it was expensive in Tesco.
Because they stopped it on the canteen. They stopped it on the canteen, so they were having to get drones flying over and drop packages into the yard with tobacco. And they were going for 250 quid for a half ounce of tobacco. Some at the time were costing maybe 4 or 5 quid.
I know, 50 quid now for 50 grams.
Oh my! I thankfully stopped smoking whilst I was in prison. I managed to stop smoking. So.
It sounds like prison's done you some good.
It gave me a lot of time to think about my position in life, how I've how I reacted to the world and the situations that I've been in, and what the world's done to me, and what I'm capable of doing, and this is I was going to mention prison being a good learning experience, and similar to council estates as well. On a council estate, no matter who you are, if you're a dickhead, you're going to get shit. It's the same in prison. If you and thankfully, this is where I had a better time than a lot of people, because I've never been the kind of guy to be a dickhead with people for no reason anyway. Yeah. You know, you find that the most of the people, and I got on with I upset a few people, but I got on with most of the good lads. Well, say good lads, it's relative, isn't it?
Yeah,
because I want a dickhead. I want a baghead or a chaver, or you know, I didn't flash my ego and front myself because I'm a part of a gang. You know, I'm big and hard and all that. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just minded my own business. And there were a few times when I came unstuck with certain people, but these were lessons learned.
Yeah,
and I think that's the similarity with the council estate, and how we could potentially get through to the middle class and the upper class, and say, look, even in your societies, your gated communities, I'm sure it's the same principles. If you're a dickhead or being unruly, the community is going to band together and either have a word with you to change your ways, or get you moved out. Yeah, and that's exactly why the working class communities work a lot better, or did, until certain policies came in that pretty much destroyed everything.
You know what? One of the big ones is that is currently under the radar is pubs, because that's where the working class got to speak to each other.
Yeah, where they church. Fucking hell! I used to love going down to what would it called? The Market Tavern. There were Rios in Bradford. That were a rock club. There were Empress back in day in Bradford. There were pub on Market Street, Sex Exchange. It called the Exchange, but called it Sex Change. Yeah. And flipping out, I got into some right barneys with people, and there we'd have all sorts of conversations. We'd have fun. We'd have fights. I were an idiot because I always talk about politics. I'm not very good with small talk. So gradually, everything had always become about politics, and it ended up wanting me getting punched, and then waking up and asking everybody around me what just happened.
But I'm really glad to hear, though, that it wasn't. It's helped you, and it obviously wasn't a great experience to be there. But the fact that you've learned from it and can appreciate that, I think, is a good thing.
I think it was more a case of I don't ever want to be in this situation again, where I'm finding myself facing prison, having to endure prison, and then having to start again. And during the time, because I was in there for I was actually locked up for 4 years.
A long time.
4 years and 8 months. I could have got out after 3.5 years, but my probation were insisting that I go to a certain hostel when I got out, and I refused to go there. I can talk about it now if we're going to go on. I mean, I don't want to be taking over Wizzy's stream here, and that. It's a bit of a long story, so maybe another time. I don't know if you're up for it.
the time.
Yeah, I do random. Well, I'm going to do random call-ins like during the week because I do 1 o'clock every single day, Monday to Friday. But the definite call-ins are Wednesday 7 p.m. and Saturday, Sunday 4 p.m. But I will be opening up some of the 1 o'clock sort of slots for people to pop up and have a chat as well because it seems to work better. And it's not about me talking; it gets boring with just hearing my voice.
On that note, I would just like to say, thank you very much for the opportunity this week to have so much time speaking to people. It's not something that is. It's not an expectation for anyone who goes onto a live stream to have the opportunity to speak. So to be given so much time is very much appreciated. So thank you for that opportunity.
No, that's right, mate. I want more of it, hopefully, because I'm hoping you, Jake, I've got your email address, but I hope maybe just you and I can do a stream at some point as well, because I think we're going to have quite a good conversation, because I think some of the stuff you ask makes me think and we get some good answers. So, yeah, I think I'll be interested in that if you're available.
Anytime you like, if I'm available, then I'll be able to do it. And that's not a problem because I was, as you know, I was doing work with Richie and Rogue. We've now finished our arrangement there. So I've got more free time. So that's anytime. Fine.
All right, mate.
And Binky, it's been good to speak to you. And I take it as an honour that you haven't had these conversations with people for years. And the fact you've come to do it here, I think is very much a privilege. So thank you for doing that.
It was our good friend Gandalf who I took a liking to because of the similar look and stuff.
The DC top look.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And with him being an artist as well, and listened to a couple of his streams before introducing myself. And I think I emailed you, didn't I, saying, "Hey, this is Ugly Boy."
Yes,
I changed my name because like you say, Ugly Boy. It's a bit. I use that for my artwork, and Binky were the name of my first ferret, the first ferret I ever had as a pet, called a Binky.
That is such a northern thing to say. That is having a ferret for a pet.
Yeah,
but yeah, I appreciate. I'm really glad that you've given me opportunity to speak as well. It's fun. I like this two-way thing. And again, I do apologise if I've been ranting on a little bit as well because and we've gone off topic. I noticed at one point you put up "Welcome to Binky Show."
Yeah, I thought it'd be funny. It'd be funny.
Whenever you speak on a channel, it's obviously you want to get your point across, and you get excited and you hear things and you think, I want to say something, and you just have to sometimes think, right, I'm going to hold back a bit here, or I'll let them speak or whatever. And you were doing that, so there's no problem whatsoever.
You'll do it more over time, mate. I was like that. I went on someone's stream and I hadn't done it before, and I don't get out, mate. I've got no friends. I've got no reason to leave my house, and I've gone on this stream. And mate, I was like verbal diarrhea. I do not know where it come from, but I would, and it was like when I do my bipolar moment. When you talk about 1,000,000 miles an hour, and everyone's like, "Whoa, mate, what? You just like literally read the whole Bible in 2 seconds. Do you want to slow down a bit?"
Yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, and that's why I'm not saying anything. I mean, no one here, even Jake or no one's saying anything. I put that thing up on the screen saying, the Binky Show, to have a laugh, basically, so you can feel relaxed. And if you want to talk for 5 minutes, talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah, because I'm the same as you guys. I don't go out and speak to people. I'm not interested in having friends with people. I speak to people that I want to when I feel like it, and that's it. And that's why we're on the same level there. We've got an understanding.
Yep.
No, I like it. It's me Englishman's home's become me Englishman's castle.
Yeah.
And the only time I venture out is for shopping. Take Ember for a walk.
Yeah.
And then go see daughter and grandkids. Can't do that recently because my car's the exhaust has fallen off. So I've got it booked in for a new one at some point. But driving around with it at minute sounds like, the idiots who drive around with the big exhaust? It sounds like that.
There's always someone with one of those, isn't there? Yeah. But no, you did a really good job.
I put it on my car. I kind of feel oh yeah, people are looking at me. People are turning their heads to have a look when I'm driving past. How brilliant is that? And then I'm thinking, again, from my point of view, when I see people driving past, I'm thinking, and they must be thinking that I'm a dickhead because I think that about the people who have them cars. Oh, come on.
No, I think you've done really, really well. And I think that for you, Wiz, I think this is a really important thing because there are lots of people who are like us, who don't want to speak to other people and like our own space. And unfortunately, we can't always get to talk to people. But through spaces like this, you'll find that there are people who, like us and in the chat, who do actually want to talk about things. They just don't feel comfortable doing it in a normal way. So we do it this way instead. And it's good that
this is why I was trying to allude to yesterday. I forget that lass's name. Is it Good News, Bad News? I don't know her real name.
Yeah, Ace.
Yeah.
When I was saying that television should be abolished, that technology is outdated, and every new build should have built in the way to access the internet. And especially with people who come to retirement age, once you reach retirement age, you should get access to a free internet-ready PC that can be delivered to your house. So the old folks who like us don't get out that often can come on to places like this and can have the coffee hour in the comfort of their own home, and then they can make plans to go out and meet people from there, network from there.
Because I'm not being funny about anything that people get given, but if you have, say, mental health problems, you get sent to these bullshit self-help groups where you don't give a fuck. You don't want to hear about someone moaning about their problems when you've got enough of your own problems. Here is somewhere that is not doing that, but it's doing something that's more important than that, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a really good space that you've got here, Wiz, and you should be proud of yourself.
It is. And I feel so chuffed that I'm able to sit here and chat with you all.
Yeah,
and then also as well, I can observe now you've put it on big screen. I can observe the chat every now and again when I look down and see who's chatting about what and stuff and what have you. It's
it's a really good bunch in the chat. Really good bunch. And
the channel is growing, so
it is, and you're doing really well.
But yeah, hopefully it continue, and then the more chats we
have.
How long
has this channel been going now? I mean, not this stream, but
I started in July, August, October 2024. I started, so about.
Oh, so he's still young then.
18 months.
Young.
Wow.
Still young.
Well, get them subscribers up, flipping it. You got 6.5K subscribers in 18 months. That's that's good.
Yeah, it's not pretty bad.
Just need to get the
I wish I had more.
You enjoy doing it, or sometimes does it feel a bit of an effort?
It never feels like an effort. I have sometimes where my brain goes into one of the I don't know, it's part of the depression or it's the bipolar or something, but I get to go on screen and it's sort of hitting me that I don't want people to see me or something, but because I'm doing it, I have to do it. I get over it, but I feel a bit like, I don't want people to see me, or oh no, I've got to talk about that, or what if people say this, or what if people say that, and then I just crack on, and because I do it, it makes me better. I'm not, before YouTube, if I got that mode, it sticks.
Yeah,
you get to a certain stage, don't you, when you're doing something like this? And I've started feeling that now, where you kind of, and it might be age as well, where it kind of gets to a stage where I don't care what people think. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and anyway. And then if people pick up on that, brilliant. If they don't, then no big deal. But I've noticed that, over time, you'll put up somebody's comments on screen and stuff, and interact that way, and let everyone know that we're not just having a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I really like. Like yesterday with
this is taking over.
Peeps was asking me about the gear that I've got behind me and things like that. It's a really good community that's there.
Yeah, I do get told off for putting everyone's comments up on screen. They're like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You've got to get super chats and then you put them up on screen. And if you're just putting all the chats up, then they're not going to do a super chat. And I'm like, I don't care, mate. I'm not here for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a Brucey bonus. It supports the channel, but
in a few thousand views on your once you've got a few thousand people watching all at once, that's when you start going, do you know what? Fuck all you peasants who can't be bothered giving me a few quid for a cup of coffee. I'm just going to put the super chats up.
Yeah, I hate ask. I don't take praise very well. I don't like asking for anything. Like that's why we're like super chats and that is to a minimum. Do you know what I mean? So whatever will be. And if I don't get any super chats, I don't care because I have a chat, and that's what I'm here for. And hopefully, people that watch it learn, or they might even hear something and change their mind. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I got gifted a membership, and I know I was checking yesterday. It's coming up to renewal, and I've been on your channel and clicked on the buy me a coffee thing, and I will at some point. It's that time at month when I'm a little bit skint, but when I get paid, I will be subbing to your channel. So
can I just mention something about that, Binky? Because this is something that I think is really, really important, and that I think we will understand, and that our government will not understand. And it's what you just said. Then I'm a bit skint at the minute. We know what it is like when you go through days where you've literally got no money and you're having to wait a few days for something to come in. People who are middle class do not understand that. They don't understand what it's like to go and pay for your goods and shit yourself because you're worrying if you've got enough money in there.
I think I've managed, because when I were out drinking and about town, it was a case of even if I only had 10 quid to my name, I'd be out at pub. You know, I didn't really bother that, and I did rack up a fair bit of debt and electric and gas bills and what have you. And I kind of learned now, it's like prioritize your bills, your rent and your bills. Yeah. That's your priority. Every time you get paid, you pay your rent, you buy your shopping, and you pay your bills. Everything else after that is a luxury and a bonus. Yes. And thankfully, I'm now in this is the first house. I'm 48 now. This is the first time I've lived in my own house on my own. I've lived in student accommodation. I've lived in squats. I've shared houses with friends and stuff. This is the first time. And once I got out of prison and got this place, it was a case of, well, this is my home now. Fresh start and all that nonsense. I completely
understand that.
Me rent my bills first. And this is what people tend to get distracted too easily by, there's a new mobile phone coming out. I've got money for it. So they'll go straight instantly, get the mobile phone, and then afterwards they bought the mobile phone and gone, shit, I can't afford rent this month.
Yeah.
Because that distraction over is powerful enough by advertisement and social conditioning. Everybody needs to have that particular phone. If you've got that particular phone or that particular set of clothes, then you're cool within community. But nobody cares that you can't afford to pay your rent as long as you look cool. And it's like that influence as we've allowed to become far more influential on our decision making than the basics of keep a roof over your head, food in your cupboards, and your bills paid. Yeah. You know, so we need to find a way to make that more powerful and more beneficial. Seem more beneficial. Yes. In the long term. It might not be. You might be like me at the minute. I don't go out other than to take dog out, to do my shopping and go visit daughter and grandkids. And I've managed to get myself into a position where I can do that maybe once or twice a month. Yeah. So I've got more time I spend at home, and I built my workshop so that when I don't have any money in, my rent's paid, I've got food in fridge, and my bills are paid. And everything else, and this is how I've managed to build up a nice workshop and this nice little studio area that I've got here, is because all that other money has gone into a long-term plan. And this is another thing that society's being conditioned into as well, to think short term, because that's all government does.
Yes.
This is why the Muslims have taken over and are winning, because they're thinking about the 100-year plan, 200-year plan.
What I think is interesting is
teaching us to think about the short-term plan and
You're
forcing it into that category. You get paid once a week, so you bill yourself and you credit yourself according to that weekly wage. Where people need to start getting into this idea of thinking long-term.
Yes, I would say that it's interesting you're 48 as well, because I'm 48 too. So it's interesting, you know, that we can see two different lives at the same age, and yet we're both 49. In the same. You're 49, and yet here we are in the same place now.
Oh no, I'm 40. I'm a 47.
I often get confused about that.
I think I might be 47. Oh, born in 1977.
Same as me then. Yeah, you're 48.
I was 76.
48.
Yeah, I'm 77. But I know exactly what you're saying, Binky, because once I couldn't work anymore, that was really difficult. You know, I had to go and live at my mum's house for years because I had no money. But now I moved out. I've got my own place. It's really helps with your sense of well-being, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's definitely, because I was living independent of foster care. When I was in foster care until I was 18, but I started running away from my foster parents when I was 14, 15, and I became the final time I ran away from my foster parents. No fault to them, absolutely no fault to them at all. It were I was living in Flamborough with long-term foster parents, really good family, but the pull for me to get back in touch with my real mother were becoming stronger and stronger the older I got.
Yeah.
And I'd started getting what they used to call the mega bus. I don't know if you ever heard of that. You could go from
buses where you can travel around the country,
for £1. Yeah, you pay £1 and go from Bradford to Scotland. It's like, it was brilliant. But so I'd started making inroads to see my mum again and visiting like once a month on a Saturday. And I decided when I was like 15, 16, I wanted to go back to Bradford and know more about my family. And that, I think, well, you could argue it was a bad mistake or a good mistake. I kind of always try and look on the positive side.
Yeah.
Any situation, I want to be able to look at it and go, well, how am I going to benefit from this? It's a bad situation. What can I make out of this? Make it a beneficial situation.
That's exactly the position I found myself in, was what shall I do? I didn't know what to do. So I thought to myself, what am I good at doing? Well, I can teach, I can study. So why don't I do a doctorate and then see what happens after that? Because that was the best thing that I could think to do. And doing it has really, really helped. And I'm certainly in a very different place now than I would have been in, say, 5 years ago when it was a very difficult place. But that's just how life goes, really. And it just so happens that once you hit your 40s, it's harder to get back on track. But that doesn't mean we can't do it, though.
See, I'm not. I've been toying with this for a while. I'm not entirely sure whether it's just pure luck, or the fact that I'm determined enough, or the fact that I might have my late grandma watching over me and guiding my life, or whether it's just, I've taught. Is it because I've got white privilege that I'm doing so well and all that crap?
Of course it is.
Yeah, I'm white, so yeah.
Look at all of the privileges you've had in your life as being a white man.
All this around you has only been. I might take you on a guided tour around my house at some point on mobile phone. All this I've managed to build up over 5 years. I got out of prison in 2019, and I think COVID did me a lot of favours as well, because I don't really go out that much. It didn't really bother me.
You know what? I was exactly the same. When COVID and lockdown happened, I couldn't give a fuck. I was too busy having a nervous breakdown. I didn't even bother noticing it.
I managed to do my driving lessons during COVID and got myself a car, because I managed to, whilst I was in Cat D, I managed to get outside work.
Right.
And with the money I saved up, I got myself a motorbike. Only a 125, but it was a Suzuki Marauder. So it looked like a a proper. It looked like an Harley Davidson, you know, the Harley Davidson type looking bike.
Cat D that's the lowest, isn't it? That's where you are one before release. Is that right?
Yeah, Cat D is what they call open prison, where there's no major gates on. You know, you can freely walk around the yard and stuff. And if you wanted to, you can run over the wall and bugger off. But by the time you get into Cat D, what's the point in being a dick? You know, most people in there are like, well, they've either done like, you know, 6 months or 15-year sentence. So most people are more concerned with, you know, right, I've only got a few months to go before I'm out. So let's just, and you find the levels of, you've got to be careful in Cat D as well, because a lot of people get jealous when they see you going out to work. They get jealous, so they'll do, and I've seen it a number of times where they'll do absolutely everything they can to try and get you a nicking. A nicking is when you get brought up in front of the governor, and then he can decide whether or not you get your visits knocked or whether you go back to Cat C or not. And there's a lot of that kind of shit goes on.
I would really like to know about these experiences, because it's something that I haven't experienced, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat probably haven't, and I think they'd be quite interested if you could talk about that. But, you know, what is the day-to-day, you know, sort of things like? I mean, obviously not right now, but in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be up for that, because
we'll have to do a get to know type stream where we just talk about us or yourselves or whatever.
Yeah,
I'll be up for that. But I'm crap at asking questions about people, because I've always minded my own business. So I have a tendency to not know what questions to ask people when I want to get to know them.
all you can do is tell us what you know.
I can do that, yeah.
That would be really, really interesting, I think, because I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't know that experience either. And it would just be, like I say, it would just be something that we can learn about and see what is it actually like in prison? Is it really easy? Is it full of violence? Are the showers really as bad as everyone says? You know, what's it like? An open toilet.
Because
the only time I were I think Armley's considered it's a dispersal. It's what they call a dispersal prison. Yeah. Now, if I remember rightly, a dispersal is it the top? Is it a Cat A or a Cat B? I think it might be a Cat A.
Because the reason I ask is because one thing that you've done this evening is you haven't done what a lot of people do, which is tell bullshit stories about loads of prison violence. And I got in this.
Oh God, no. There is a lot when in prison. Like when you have a fight outside, it's not necessarily as brutal as the fights that you get in prison.
Yeah.
But the fights in prison are few and far between, especially in Cat C. The violence is more. There's more violence in Cat C than there is in prison. In prisons where people are doing 10 years to life.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting thing to tell us about. Then I'd like to know more. But right now, though, I'm absolutely stunned.
The reason being is because somebody who's in prison for life, if you get into a fight with them, they've got no concern about killing you because they're already doing life.
Yeah.
So the dickheads in them prisons are less likely to be dickheads because they'll be thinking, well, I might have a grievance with this lad, or I might just not like this lad. But if I kick off too much with him, he's potentially going to kill me. Yeah. Whereas in Cat C, people are doing shorter sentences, so the focus is more on getting back to the families and getting out and doing everything that they need to do in order to get back out of prison.
Yeah. That's exactly the sort of thing I'd like to know more about, because I think it is interesting. And if you don't mind, then that would be great.
I don't mind at all.
Yeah, we'll have to sort sign out. We're going 3 hours 40 minutes now. I can't believe it. That's flown by. I've got to go and have some din-dins. Well, about me roast. I'm gonna have
I haven't eaten all day.
I haven't eaten all day. I'm having a curry tonight. I don't know about you.
I'll have a roast dinner.
I'm going to bang it air fryer again.
Yes.
It's got to be done. But let's wrap it up for now. And then, I think I'm going to do random call-ins during me Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. But we do definite call-ins Wednesday, 7 p.m. and then the Saturday and Sunday at 4. So if you're about, obviously, anyone's welcome, but you two definitely, obviously.
Thank you very much.
It'll all be good.
And it's great you having me. I really appreciate it. It's
that's good, mate. We'll do maybe on the Saturday or maybe the Sunday. Actually, maybe on the Sunday, next Sunday. I know the clock's changed, but yeah, don't forget. Maybe on the Sunday one we can do like more of a personal get to know whatever, and then like you're saying there, Jake asking questions about Binky's life, and we'll find out about you and find out about me or whatever. Do that sort of chat, and if anyone else is about,
it'd be interesting to know from both of your points, because you mentioned a bit of mental health yourself, Wiz. Is it depression and?
I've had depression, bipolar anxiety, but since I've been to the doctor, we traced it all the way back to when I was probably about 7 or 8 because of my childhood and the shit my adoptive mum used to say. So, but yeah, we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out how good or bad your interactions have been with the mental health services.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a really good point. I have plenty to say about that.
Yeah, not only have I been
you and me both, mate.
Yeah,
I was the first major failing on my part were back in 1997, and I was remanded under the. I became in the mental health system. I was in the elite class with the fellow mental health patients because I was given a section 3741. I don't know if you know what that is. A 37 is a compulsory treatment order, which meant that I had to be locked in a medium secure mental hospital. And at the time, I think the 41 was I couldn't even walk outside the hospital grounds without the hospital getting getting permission from the Home Office, the Home Secretary. I think it was Jack Straw at the time. So in order for me to get out, they had to write to him and give me permission just to walk outside onto the street, which were literally like 4 feet away from my window.
It's really strange though, because you tell us these stories about your past life and what you've been in prison for, and you've done this and you've done that, and you don't come across as that at all.
I think it's because I've come to realization that no matter what happens in my life now, I've gone through all these experiences and I've come out the other side not being a victim. I'm a survivor. And the process of me building up this workshop in here was more as much to do with giving me a way to focus my creative mind.
Yeah.
And also I wanted to get myself into a position where I would a benefit to my neighborhood and the people around me rather than being a drain. I mean, I'm currently a drain because I'm on long-term sick, which is another reason why I built the workshop, because I wanted to become self-employed as well and build up my own little business. But at the same time, I wanted to be able to turn around to my community and go, "Oh, you've got a problem with your car? If you need, I've got tools in shed here. Come and let me know, and you can borrow them. No, not charging them, just doing my bit. I'm not getting into this whole I need to pay my debt to society and that kind of stuff. I find that all a little bit boring. It's like, no, I paid my debt to society when I did prison. Everything now is on me. I'm doing it because I want to do it, not because I feel like I've got an obligation to everybody that I've got to do it. It's like, no, because if you force me to do it, this is another thing. I don't know if you two have the same thing. If you want to do something, you'll do it freely. But the moment somebody makes it it makes you obligated to do it. Fuck that. Can't do that.
Exactly.
Fuck right off.
Exactly.
And that is the English. I think that I'm not sure whether that's unique to being English and our culture is that we will give freely our services to those people around us, but the moment you start depending on it or demanding that we do it is a moment where fuck that. Sorry,
that's a good point. That is a good point. But I don't know about you chaps. I'm fucking starving now. So
right, I'm gonna wrap it up.
I could sit here all night, mate. So
I could, but I'm starving.
Yeah.
It's good to speak to you both.
Yeah.
Ah, you
It's
too.
been brilliant. It's been brilliant. Happy days.
Well, it's like, well, have the viewers enjoyed this? Or
They seem to have.
I hope so.
They're still there, so they must have.
Contrarian.
Yeah.
I like that. I got called the contrarian once, and it was like, no, I'm not. I just disagree with what you're saying. And
I am
like,
definitely a contrarian. I will argue with people things I don't even agree with just to argue with them sometimes.
Yeah.
I freely admit to doing that, but that's only if they piss me off, I'll do that. But anyway.
I love doing that. I've got numerous different accounts where I'm members of Islamic groups and what have you, and I'll troll them. I just troll the fuck out of them. Every now and again, I won't post out for ages, and then every now and again, I'll just spam the channel chat with images of bacon or the burning Quran and what have you, and then I won't say out for months. Just come back under a different username. It's brilliant.
Sneaky. Right, go on, Jake. Go get your munch. You know you want to. So happy days. Take it easy, Binky. Live the dream and that. Like I say, I'm live Monday to Friday, and obviously Wednesday 7 p.m, Saturday, Sunday 4 p.m. I forgot actually had to look at the top of the screen then, but yeah, come back, Binky. We'll be talking. So well, you'll see when we're live. I put the link in the chat, mate. So just follow it.
I think chances are I'll most likely be definitely up for the Saturday and Sunday one, because during week it's like with my medication. Sometimes I'll be asleep all day, but then I'll be in workshop all night, tinkering away and making stuff for somebody. You know, so it's
no worries. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, mate.
But now that we've had this baptism of fire on, what is it, yesterday and today, which is Saturday and Sunday, and I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed my company. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been good. It's been interesting.
So I think I'll make more of it. So as long as you don't mind that sometimes if I'm listening to you chat with somebody else, you might just see me start turning away, because right next to me is another workbench that I've got, and I'll be tinkering away with something. So I might even end up on wood lathe at some point. I'll be turning a pen on wood lathe that I'll be making for one of you lot whilst we're live streaming. That's something I wanted to do as well at some point. Is set up a camera over at wood lathe and
do that. That's cool.
And show people how I do it. No face shield, none of the health and safety shit. This is how you do. And I've ended up with splinters of wood in my arms and all sorts from that, but it's fun.
Got to be done. It's got to be done. Yeah, all right, mate. So if it's Saturday and Sunday, then happy days. Yeah, more than happy to have you up. It's really interesting. So yeah, we all get to know each other. It's going to be fun, mate. It's going to be fun. So yeah, you've got to come back.
This does feel like it's going to be my new home. This channel, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, it's
brilliant. And another thing. You said earlier, like, you know, especially with being skint and that, remember, like, you don't have to be a member or nothing, because if you're watching the videos and you watch the adverts, that helps the channel, because obviously the ad revenue builds up. So
yeah, this is why I'm going to become a member, because I use Brave browser and I don't have adverts. I absolutely despise adverts. So,
I've got Brave as well myself for purposes
I don't use it. So this is why I'd much prefer to pay a membership, knowing that the money's going straight to you, than some corporate hack that advertise. I mean, I don't know if you ever remember a guy called Bill Hicks.
I've heard of that.
American comedian. Watch him. He's an absolute legend in the comedy. I don't really regard him as a comedian. I regard him as he was a truth teller that put a nice twist to reality. There's a guy called Lewis Black as well. He's another legend. But Bill Hicks basically does a rant about advertising, and he's like, if you're in advertising, kill yourself. He's like, no, don't start laughing. I'm not joking. Kill yourself. Go suck a tailpipe. Go hang from a tree. I don't care. You are quick trying to put a dollar sign on every goddamn thing on the planet, and it's brilliant the way he delivers it.
I'll look him up. I'll look him up.
I cried when I found out he died. It was like, oh my god, another one's gone.
Oh no, it makes you feel old and all, doesn't it? But oh well. What can we do?
Just crack on. Keep calm and crack on.
Literally, yep, crack on. That's all we
don't
can
panic.
do.
Whatever you do, don't panic.
That's it, mate. Yeah, don't panic. Or try not to anyway. That's good, mate. Happy days. All right, mate. I'll let you go. I'm going. I'm going to go and chill.
Helen crystals. I don't use a face shield when I'm using angle grinder, and I've ended up in hospital a few times where they've had to they put a Dremel in your eye. It's a literal Dremel about that big that they use to drill out the bits that get stuck in your eye. So yeah, I've had that a few times. It's that's a good story. That one as well. Anyhow, look, thank you.
That's all right,
really
mate.
Appreciate it. You enjoy your tea.
No worries.
And the rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll speak again.
Yep, definitely, mate. Definitely. Hopefully, see you next weekend.
Thanks to everybody in chat as well. So yeah, appreciate that. They're
No
all
worries,
still here
mate.
after listening to me ranting for the last 3 hours. So yeah, must be
It's educational.
All right.
Mate. No worries, mate. Take it easy.
Ember's pestering me now. So
oh, happy days. All right, mate. Take it easy.
All right, you take care. Bye for now.
Right, see you later, mate. See you, mate. Oh, there we go. Well, what a stream that was. 3 hours, 52 minutes. Can't believe it. Thank you, Shiel. I didn't say it so people would do it. I was saying you always you got me. Thank you very much. And I love you being here watching as well. I really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much, Shiel. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else in chat. Helen, I still Helen's still going. I've made a note of what you said there, Helen. We shall look for the Wiz & Co Investigate series that started. Yes, was it Jeremy Bamber? That's what it was, wasn't it? Happy days. So thanks to Robin and everyone else living the dream. I said to Robin earlier, like, oh, we'll be finishing in 5 minutes, so there's no point sending him the link. So he's like, oh, you lied to me, Wiz. I was planning on wrapping it up like 3 hours, 20 minutes, but half hour later, what can we do? What can we do? But anyway, but I am back tomorrow. Yes, every blooming day. Boring, isn't it? But if you're about, I will be here once again. I'll probably do a bit more talking than I did today because I do like to let other people talk, you know. I know my voice can be, you know. But anyway, so thank you to all of you. And I see, oh, thank you, Shiel. Thank you, Helen. Thank you to the ladies. My respect. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have your company. I hope you enjoy my company with my dodgy beard. But yes, until tomorrow, 1 o'clock when we do it. Oh, Richard Rogue, I'll probably be looking them up. But there you go, ladies and gents. Richard Rogue, go and watch Richard Rogue. Show them some love and support. Happy days. But I will be back 1 o'clock tomorrow. So if I can see you then, it'll be happy days. But like I say, at the end of every single stream, that is the Wizard's words.